दोस्तों 10 दिनों के इस इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट के महोत्सव के सफर के 9वें दिन एक ही ख्याल बार बार मन में आता है। ये लम्हे, ये पल हम बरसों याद करेंगे। ये मौसम गुजर गए तो हम फरियाद करेंगे। जी हाँ, मेरी पूरी टीम ने महीनों से मेहनत करी, पूरी शिद्दत से कोशिश करी कि ये पिछले 9 दिन में तकरीबन 20 सेशंस इंडस्ट्री के बड़े बड़े दिग्गज कलाकारों के साथ आपके सामने रखें और इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट के इस छठे संस्करण को पूरी शिद्दत के साथ पूरा करें। और आज वी आर एट डे 9 ऑफ दिस 10-day festival, the first and the only and the most loved conference and awards platform of the Indian voiceover and dubbing industry, India Voice Fest. कल हम ले रहे हैं एक छोटा सा ब्रेक और रविवार को यानी 17 दिसंबर को we will be back with the mega glittering grand finale and award ceremony, the final act of India Voice Fest 2023. मैं हूं दर्पण एंड चलिए आपको इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट के स्पॉन्सर्स के बारे में बताएं, उन्हें थैंक करें जिनकी वजह से हम ये कार्यक्रम इतनी अच्छी तरह से कर पाए हैं। इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट is conceived and curated by yours truly, Darrpan Mehta, produced and organized by Sugar Mediaz. Our main sponsors for India Voice Fest 2023 are Sound and Vision Studios. Our associate sponsors are Audio Magic. Our industry partners are MnM Talkies, Gulmohar Media, G-Corp Media, and Aural Arts. Our proud supporters are Neshma Academy of Acting and Voice Acting, Surabhi, Javeri, Vyas, KRG Kreative Studio, and Skylink Freight Forwarders. और सबसे बड़ा थैंक यू है आप सबको जो पिछले 9 दिनों से शिद्दत के साथ हमसे जुड़े हैं, हमसे जुड़े रहे हैं। और आपका ये सहयोग, आपका ये पार्टिसिपेशन is what makes India Voice Fest such a blockbuster platform. आज की शाम बड़ी खास है क्योंकि आज 2 बड़े प्यारे सेशंस लाइंड अप हैं। सबसे पहले वी हैव अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग सेशन कॉल्ड द वॉइस जिम। जी हाँ, अगर हम शरीर बनाने के लिए जिम में जाते हैं तो अपनी आवाज पर काम करने के लिए भी कोई जिम होना चाहिए। ये हमको बता रही हैं रिनाउंड वोकल कोच एंड वॉइस ट्रेनर रमा वैद्यनाथन मैम। और इनके साथ इस सेशन को मॉडरेट कर रही हैं, इनसे बातें कर रही हैं हमारी इंडस्ट्री की वेटरन राजश्री शर्मा फ्रॉम ऑडियो मैजिक। तो चलिए एक छोटा सा प्रोमो का ब्रेक लेते हैं और ब्रेक की दूसरी ओर वी विल हैव आवर स्पीकर्स फॉर टुडे विद द सेशन रेडी फॉर यू। सो आई विल बी बैक in just a moment. Hello and welcome back to India Voice Fest 2023. This interesting session is called The Voice Gym, preparing your voice for a marathon called The Voice Acting Career. और इसके लिए मेरे साथ हैं, I would like to welcome on the screen, I will request my colleague Anand to present on screen Rama Vaidyanathan ma'am and Rajeshri Sharma. Hello girls, how are you doing? Thank you, good evening, and thank you for doing this for India Voice Fest.
Hi.
Thank you so much.
Darpan. Hi. So happy to be
I think
here.
Rama,
thank you for having me over.
Thank you, ma'am. You've always been very supportive of India Voice Fest और हर साल रमा मैम का साथ रहा है और I can't thank you enough for that. और मुझे लगता है रमा मैम की जो नॉलेज है, क्योंकि मैंने पर्सनली बहुत एक्सपीरियंस किया है, उन्होंने पर्सनली मुझे भी बहुत हेल्प किया है मेरी आवाज को लेकर। आई थिंक शी इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट जिसको कहते हैं हिंदी में गुणी एक्सपर्ट ऑन एवरीथिंग अबाउट द वॉइस। एंड इनकी वजह से मैंने सीखा कि आपकी आवाज जो है सिर्फ फिजिकल नहीं होती है, बल्कि देयर इज अ वेरी बिग फिजियोलॉजिकल एंड साइकोलॉजिकल एलिमेंट associated with your voice, and everything about your entire personality changes the way you sound. And today I'm going to trust my very dear friend and industry veteran Rajeshri Sharma to bring out the best from Rama ma'am. और आप जो लोग देख रहे हैं, feel free to write in your questions in the comment box on YouTube or Facebook, and Rama ma'am is very generous. She'll try her best to help you out. और अगर आप रमा मैम से मिलना भी चाहते हैं तो आप 17 तारीख को जरूर ग्रैंड फिनाले में आइएगा, बिकॉज शी विल बी देयर। राजश्री इज फैमिली टू इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट, शी विल ऑब्वियसली बी देयर। तो चलिए ऐसा करते हैं, लेट मी गेट आउट ऑफ द स्ट्रीम नाउ।
इनके नाम में
यस,
ही वैद्य है, आप ये सोचिए, वैद्यनाथन इनका नाम है, इनके नाम
हाँ,
में ही वैद्य है। तो
ये क्या
ये
पकड़ा, ये तो मैंने आज तक कभी सोचा ही नहीं कि आपके नाम में ही वैद्य जो है वो टर्म है, विच इज,
मैंने भी सोचा नहीं आज तक, आज राजश्री पहली बार बता रही
ये
है।
आपको एक, ये आपको राशि ने एक बहुत अच्छा नया एक प्लग दे दिया है। आई थिंक इट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग ट्विस्ट।
क्या बात है, क्या बात है, क्या बात है।
बहुत बढ़िया। तो राशि, आई एम गोइंग टू हैंड ओवर दिस सेशन टू यू इन योर वेरी एबल हैंड्स, एंड वी हैव अबाउट एन आवर टू कंडक्ट दिस, सो आई विल सी यू ऑन द अदर साइड। ऑल द बेस्ट एंड थैंक यू।
थैंक यू दर्पण, थैंक यू सो मच। हेलो मैम, इट्स अ प्लेजर टू मीट यू। हम ई मीट कर रहे हैं, बट इट्स अ प्लेजर टू सी यू। इससे पहले वी जस्ट चैटेड, दिस इज द फर्स्ट टाइम आई एम लिसनिंग टू यू। जस्ट अ ब्रीफ फोन कॉल आई थिंक इससे पहले।
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine. You're most welcome.
Thank you, that's really gracious and generous of you. So जब हम ऑडियंस से मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि जब हम कोच या ट्रेनर ये वर्ड सुनते हैं तो जहन में क्या शब्द आता है? जैसे दर्पण ने कहा कि हम सोचते हैं स्पोर्ट्स के बारे में, या तो फिटनेस के बारे में, या जिम के बारे में। लेकिन कभी हमने ये सोचा था कि ये शब्द आवाज के लिए भी यूज हो सकते हैं? बिल्कुल, ये आवाज के लिए यूज होते हैं और हमें करने चाहिए। मोर ओवर आज की दुनिया में जहां हर चीज की इंपॉर्टेंस है, वहां जिस आवाज को आप यूज कर रहे हैं उसे हम ट्रेन नहीं करेंगे, उसे हम कोच नहीं करेंगे, वो हमें करना है। और अगर आपको पता नहीं था कि ऐसी कोई चीज है तो है, दिस इज द वॉइस जिम। आई एम इन कॉन्वर्सेशन विद रमा मैम, रमा वैद्यनाथन मैम। जैसे मैंने पहले कहा, इनके नाम में वैद्य है, ये आवाज की डॉक्टर हैं, ये हर चीज बारीकी हमें समझाएंगी आवाज के बारे में। एंड दिस इज द वॉइस जिम, जहां हम आवाज के छोटे छोटे सूक्ष्म सूक्ष्म जो चीजें छूट जाती हैं हमसे, उनको समझने की कोशिश करेंगे, उनसे बातें करेंगे, ढेर सारे सवाल पूछेंगे। बहुत सारे मेरे अपने सवाल हैं, कुछ मैंने छोड़ दिए थे, मैंने उनसे शेयर की थी लिस्ट। मैंने कहा मैम मैं ये आपसे ये सारे सवाल पूछूंगी, फिर उन्होंने खुद सजेस्ट किया कि नहीं भाई, ये भी तो सवाल है, कुछ ये भी आपको पूछना है। सो आई मीन, शी इज सो जेनरस, एज दर्पण राइटली सेड, शी वांट्स टू शेयर हर एक्सपर्टीज, हर नॉलेज विद अस। तो आई रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन कि जितना हो सके इस सेशन का आप लाभ लीजिए। मैं इट्स अ ह्यूज थिंग टू टॉक अबाउट मैम, हर अचीवमेंट्स, हर अकम्प्लिशमेंट्स आर एंडलेस, बट इन ये क्या हैं ये मैं आपको बता देती हूँ, एक छोटे थोड़े शब्दों में बता देती हूँ। मैम इज एन ऑडियोलॉजिस्ट and a speech language and voice pathologist by profession. Am I right, ma'am?
Yes, absolutely.
She has done her graduation, ध्यान दीजिएगा, in audiology and speech therapy. So हम रेगुलर फील्ड्स का सोचते हैं, उन्होंने ग्रेजुएशन ही इस चीज में की है, तो आप सोचिए उनकी महारत कितनी है। एंड ऐसे वैसे नहीं, शी इज डन इट फ्रॉम BYL नायर हॉस्पिटल एंड इन 1985। यानी कब उन्होंने सोचा था कि ये चीज इतनी जरूरी है? वी आर डिस्कसिंग दिस नाउ, और हम अब इनको कंसल्ट करने की सोच रहे हैं, और कुछ इस सेशन के बाद शायद सोचें, बट अभी भी देर नहीं हुई है। वी हैव टू स्टार्ट थिंकिंग अबाउट दिस। And not only that, masters in linguistics from Mumbai University. She took it seriously, really seriously, because of which she's able to help so many actors, celebrities, singers. The list in her celebrity diary is endless. आप देखेंगे कि almost everyone has consulted her with their problems, or for betterment of their voice, their technique. So she is passionate about voice training, and she has been a voice trainer for the past 15 years. That's a long time. इतना ही नहीं, this her passion took her to Portland, Oregon, USA. वहां पर उन्होंने laryngologist डॉक्टर जेम्स थॉमस के अंडर ट्रेन करके अपनी स्किल्स को और निखारा है, और नई नई टेक्निक सीख के वो और बेहतर बन के आई हैं, ताकि हमें और बेहतर सिखा सकें। What an accomplishment, ma'am. So
Thank you, Ra.
what intrigues me, ma'am, is what drew you to this field? I mean, no one would have thought of this, I'm sure, long back in 1985. You would want to do something like this. So what was your inspiration?
Actually, it all happened by chance, so it's not a thought out profession. So I started learning Indian classical music when I was 7 or 8 years old. And I learned it for a very long time. And I had reached a stage where I was doing small performances and things like that when I was probably 16, 17 years old. And if you listen very carefully to my voice, it's very low pitched. It's not the typical, Lata Mangeshkar kind of voice. And I would always ask my teacher, ki, why can I not sing like that? Or why can't I sing like a film song? Or why can't I do like Western music? But उस ज़माने में my teacher was very traditional and she would say, no, no, ऐसे ही गाना है. Indian music ऐसे ही होता है. And my voice would also tire a lot. So if I sing for an hour, I would feel like, which happens, I'm sure, to a lot of voice artists in the initial stage, not now. Now, Rajshri, you're so accomplished. I'm sure that's not happening to you. But
no.
I never found the answers. And then, of course, being Tambrams, everybody learns music. It's not a big thing. Every child learns music. And education is also very big for us. So my dad always wanted me to be a doctor. And I didn't want to do medicine. I said, no, ye mujhe nahi karna hai medicine. So he said, you do a course which is related to medicine, if not medicine. So he said, do dentistry, do this. I didn't like any of that. And then finally, somebody suggested ye ek course hai, which deals with hearing, speech, voice, and all those things. And I was just 16, 17. And I said, this seems okay for me now. I had no idea. I joined. And after I joined, as I started learning in the second year, all about voice. So I learned how the voice works and what is the best way to use it. And when you don't use it properly, how people have so many problems with your voice. So basically, our training is to treat those people who have a problem with your voice. And then I said, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for so long. I asked my teacher, I asked so many. So I was very happy. And since I knew music, even क्या होता था course में भी people used to say any singer is to come, they say okay, call Rama, she knows about music. So the interest kind of developed. And then very soon I realized that prevention is better than cure. So I had to teach everybody who uses his voiceover artist, actor, singer, teacher, lawyer, how to use it properly so that you don't get into trouble. And then trust me, I wasn't so focused or anything. So I said, ye karenge. And I was doing multiple things. I got married. I had my child. So I was not very serious about any of these things. And I used to keep doing it. But in the year 2000, that's the time I said, no, I need to this is my passion. I need to do something about voice. And I started working with all kinds of people who wanted to improve their voice or who didn't want to spoil their voice, to be so that way. But it has not been a very easy journey because, as you yourself said, awareness. अपनी यहाँ पे लोगों को awareness बिल्कुल नहीं है कि कुछ disease हो जाए उसके पहले prevention करना चाहिए. So it's been a long journey. Let me say from 1990 to now, about 33 years. And finally, मुझे आज लगता है बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है कि India Voice Fest, which is a forum for voiceover artists, right? So I'm not a voiceover artist, but you have called me. I'm extremely honored, proud, and I'm so happy to be here and share my skills a little bit.
Thank you so much, ma'am. There's so much to learn from you. We've learned that, there's something known as the voice training. You are the voice coach, and all of us, almost everyone needs a voice coach, right? Not just celebrities and voice actors who are using their voice. Of course. Yeah, I mean, of course, every person is known not just by the way he looks, also by the way he speaks. And yes, I mean, that would say a lot about our personality, right? So I wanted to ask you if I have so many questions already, and now as you're talking, many of my own are surfacing, but I really don't know how much we'll be able to talk, but I hope we can continue to talk even beyond the session later on. So you have been training celebrities, actors, and how different is it if you would say train a singer, a playback singer, and you would train an actor or a celebrity, or let's say even for the voice actor, what applies probably to an actor could also apply for a voice actor. How different is it for a playback singer, for an actor?
In many aspects, it's not different at all, because one thing which I feel everybody should learn especially those who use their voice for their profession. So we call them professional voice users, voiceover
Yes.
artists, actors, singer, even lawyers
Lovely.
and teachers, or anybody who does a lot of presentations. So एक चीज उनको सीखना है how to use your voice the proper way. So you'll ask me what is proper. That means are we using it improper? Yes, so there's a proper way and there's an improper way. Let me talk a little bit about it because this is really important.
जी नहीं
So,
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
So I'm sure आप सभी ने सुना होगा कि जब आप डबिंग स्टूडियो जाते हैं या आप सिंगिंग करते हैं कि पूछते हैं कि पेट से गाओ, पेट से बात करो. I'm sure you've heard this, right?
बिल्कुल
Right?
बिल्कुल.
So there is, why do we use this term और इसका मतलब क्या है? So that's the right. So for that, I'll go a little technical. So what's voice? Voice is nothing but the air that you breathe out. So if you actually put your hand here and say 1, 2, 3, do that. You do it, Rajshri?
Yeah.
You got air, right? You got air?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So we fill our lungs with air, and the air that we breathe out gets converted into voice over here. Okay. And voice is also the vibration of your vocal cords. Okay. So we have tiny vocal cords which are like so small and as thin as a rubber band. And if you look from top, your vocal cords vibrate, open, close, open, close. So voice is the vibration of your vocal cords, ideally to be caused by the air that you breathe out. So जो हवा हम बाहर निकाल रहे हैं, वो हवा अपने vocal cords को vibrate करना चाहिए. उसको हम बोलते हैं पेट से बोलना या पेट से गाना. क्यों पेट से? Because when we breathe lot of air into your lungs, आपका पेट आगे आता है और जब आप breathe out करते हैं पेट अंदर जाता है. So it's called abdominal breathing, deep breathing, diaphragm breathing. And when you use your breath, that's the proper way. And when you don't use your breath, then all the muscles over here or all the structures, they need to do the extra job of vibrating your vocal cords. और उसको बोलते हैं गले से गाना या गले से बात करना. So how do you know if you can talk, sing and not tire at all? मतलब आप पेट से बात कर रहे हैं. और अगर आप 1 घंटे 1.5 घंटे में आप थक जाते हैं, आपकी आवाज में दर्द होने लगती है, आवाज कमजोर हो जाती है, that means you're not using your breath and that's called गले से बात करना. But strangely, ये जो skill है, we are born with it. I mean, when you first learn to speak as a child, who taught you कि breath लो, breath के साथ बोलो? Nothing, right? It was automatic. So you see a small baby, he can shout, scream, he can cry for 3 hours, nothing happens to him. But somewhere along the way, because our breathing has become shallow, we start गले से बात करना और गले से गाना. And that's why if you're using your voice for your profession, you need to relearn how to use your breath. And Rajshri, people like you who are veterans, you, Darpan and so many, you've already learned it. That's why your voice doesn't tire out. So either knowingly, unknowingly, you're doing the right thing. So for everybody out there, whether it's singer, actor or whatever, if you can use your voice 8 hours a day, 4 hours a day without tiring, shouting, screaming, jo bhi karna hai. As voiceover actors, you have to change your voice. You have to become Mickey Mouse and you have to shout and you have to scream. So if you don't tire, that means you're using the right technique. And if you're tiring, that means you're not using. So I've seen this a lot with voiceover artists and singers. शुरू में जब वो सीखते हैं, तो उनका ध्यान पूरा वो कला में रहता है कि कैसे वॉइस ओवर करें, कैसे गाना गाएं. Right? Actually, I think, am I going in and out? Because you are stationary and then...
Really, is the internet
Am I
an issue? Yeah, absolutely.
Is
We
the
can hear you.
Okay, great. So, शुरू में मैंने देखा है कि जब हम शुरू में कोई गाना भी सीखता हो, तो they get into trouble because they haven't really learned how to use this, right? And then as they learn, many people learn it on their own, accidentally, या कोई बता देता है, हम सीख जाते हैं. So the key is, are you able to speak without tiring? What I call endurance. Do you have endurance for the whole day or half a day or even 3 hours or 4 hours? So this thing is common for everybody. And then there are different things. For voiceover artists and actors, the main thing is the flexibility. Your ability to go to different pitch, different loudness, different, quality of your voice. So you have to learn that. And For singers, there are different skills. Like they have to learn how to use the false voice or how to hit the note right, all those things. But ye jo using your breath and having endurance is kind of common for all.
So, ma'am, compared to voice actors or people who voice a lot, you think it's easier to train singers because they're already trained in something? I mean, their voice is used
No,
to
not
kind of
necessarily. Not necessarily. So I'll give you a perfect example of that. See,
yeah.
ये जो knowledge है of singing,
हाँ,
singing क्या है?
हाँ,
सुर और ताल है. I mean,
correct.
you have to hit the right notes. वो जो
Yes.
knowledge वो यहाँ पे नहीं है, वो यहाँ पे है. Right? So you have musical knowledge or musicality, what I call musicality. And similarly, the knowledge about voiceovers is here. How to build a character. I mean, there are so many things which I wouldn't know. But ये जो कला है, ये जो skill है, वो यहाँ है. It's like learning mathematics or chemistry or biology. Music is a subject. Voiceover is a subject. But your voice is your instrument. So many musicians, they are excellent in their music, but they haven't learned how to use the voice. So musicians all the time, sometimes, अगर आप lucky हो, आपके music teacher अगर पुराने ज़माने के हो, तो आपको वो voice भी सिखाएंगे. But not if your teacher is seeing you for half an hour with 20 other people, he's not going to see how to use your voice. But there are music teachers, they may not tell like me in scientific terms, but they definitely teach you how to use. Okay, so it's something which, as you said, everybody requires, isn't it? And just to elaborate a little bit on this, is that why do we become shallow breathers, or why we are born? आप बच्चे को देखेंगे तो बराबर सब doing everything. So why? So many reasons why we become shallow breathers. And when we become shallow breathers, our voice always is affected because there's not enough air for your voice. So one of the main reasons is we have sedentary lifestyles. We don't move around a lot. So we don't need too much breathing, right? If you're very active, you're running this, then you need more breath. So that's one of the main reasons. And of course, stress also makes you breathe faster. What happens when you're stressed? You're breathing faster, isn't it? When you're not that good. And the other example which I want to suggest is like if you're playing cricket, football, basketball, or whatever, your coach is teaching you all about that game, the strokes, how to play, how to keep your bat. But what about your physical fitness? वो तो आपको करना है, जिम जाना है ना. उसी तरह सिंगिंग हो या वॉइस ओवर है, वो स्किल है. पर वॉइस अपनी बॉडी के अंदर है, उसकी जिम तो करना ही है ना.
बिल्कुल. बट मैम, सिंस आप साइंस के बारे में थोड़ा बता रहे हैं, मुझे ये भी इंटरेस्ट है जानने में कि सम पीपल हैव देयर साइनसेस इन अ पर्टिकुलर वे, और उनको वो कहते हैं कि उसकी वजह से उनकी एक पेक्यूलियर आवाज है, एंड कभी उसमें प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है, उसकी वजह से अगर उन्हें कुछ ऑपरेट कराना पड़े या कुछ, देन द एंटायर वॉइस चेंजेस. तो लॉट ऑफ पीपल रिफ्रेन फ्रॉम डूइंग इट कि नहीं, वी आर यूजिंग आवर वॉइस एंड दिस इज माय यूएसपी. रिसेंटली मेरी किसी से बात हो रही थी, वो यही डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि मैं तो ये चीज नहीं करवा सकती बिकॉज अगर मैंने ये करवा लिया तो मेरी आवाज ही चेंज हो जाएगी. सो ऐसे में क्या देयर आर प्रिवेंटिव मेथड्स कि ये चीज ना हो? I mean, if you're born with a particular set of, some biological aspects have been already assigned to you, तो उसमें हम, I mean, what can we do? I'm just thinking.
We can do a lot. See, voice has 3 parameters basically. एक है उसकी loudness, how loud you can go, soft, loud, okay? And the second is pitch, so I can go low pitch, and I can go high pitch. I can use any pitch I want, right? And the third is the resonance. Resonance का मतलब है all the empty chambers in our body, like the throat, the nose, the sinuses. The air moves through that, and it gives a particular quality, right? But we can learn to change our pitch, our loudness, and our resonance by doing certain things. So I can speak to you with, this is my normal resonance. Then I can speak to you with a totally different resonance where I'm going little upper and my resonance has changed. Or I can use a very different resonance. So don't be afraid. You can have the surgery if it's troubling you. You can later learn to have different resonances, different pitch. So it's about how you train. So that's the second thing which I was talking about for voiceover artists, is that flexibility of voice, isn't it? So you can learn to use this. You can learn to use these 3 things in various combinations, and you can have various voices. And frankly, I want to ask you, as a voiceover artist, you do various voices, isn't it? So why get
Right.
stuck with one voice? Isn't it? You can play a young woman, old woman, bacha, and modern, gaokar, chori. So you have different voices. So why do you want to get stuck with one voice? Learn 100
Exactly.
voices. What is there? Exactly.
Right.
Right? So why get scared about your, yeah, we all have a basic resonance, a basic tone, a basic timbre, but we can work on it. Like, this is my basic timbre, but I can talk to you in this totally different timbre for the next 1 hour, nothing. So it depends on me, right? So that's the
Exactly.
thing. The beauty about the voice is it's so flexible. All the muscles, even your vocal cords, are highly flexible, and you can learn to speak in many, many, many different ways, which you guys are already good at it. I'm only saying it, support it with good breath. That's all. Right? That's all.
Ma'am,
Do
there
your
is this,
breathing.
something that I've been hearing since my childhood. A lot of people have been talking, and some have even experimented that smoking makes your voice deeper. Is that true?
It's true.
It
It's
does.
true. So
Okay.
basically the pitch of your voice depends
Hmm.
on the length and thickness of your vocal cords. Okay. So
Okay.
if the
Okay.
length of your vocal cords is longer, then
Hmm.
it will vibrate lesser and you will have a deeper voice. If the length of your
Oh.
vocal cords is short, it will vibrate faster and you will have a high pitched voice. So the example which I always give is Amitabh Bachchan and Lata Mangeshkar, the extremes, right? All singers
Yes.
want to be Lata Mangeshkar, all actors and voiceover artists want to be Amitabh Bachchan. But
Absolutely.
what happens when you smoke is that the nicotine and other things, they settle on your vocal cords. आपने देखी जो स्मोक करते हैं उनके अंदर की तार ब्लैक हो जाती है.
Right.
आपने देखी
Yes.
है जो
बिल्कुल.
सेटल हो जाता है वो दांतों के अंदर सेटल हो जाता है. फिर हम डेंटिस्ट के पास जाके वो उसको क्लीन करा सकते हैं. वैसे ही
Right.
स्मोकिंग अपने वोकल कॉर्ड्स के ऊपर भी सेटल होता है और उसको थिकर बनाता है. जब वो थिकर होता है तो आपका पिच लो हो जाता है और आपकी वॉइस एकदम बेस या जो भी डीप हो जाता है. But that's not the way to get it deep, right? You can train
Right.
yourself to
Absolutely.
get it. And
At the cost of your life. Yeah.
yeah, cost of your health तो छोड़िए,
बिल्कुल.
वोकल कॉर्ड्स में जब ज्यादा डिपॉजिट हो जाते हैं तो आपके वोकल कॉर्ड्स इतने अच्छे से मूव नहीं होते, वो रिजिड हो जाते हैं ना. जब वो फ्लेक्सिबल
Right.
नहीं होंगे तो आप स्मोकर्स की आवाज देखेंगे तो डीप तो है लेकिन वो फ्लैट रहती है, उसमें अप्स एंड डाउन्स नहीं रहता है. वो जो
Right.
फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी है वो चली जाती है.
खत्म हो जाती है. Right.
So
Oh, yes.
the cost you pay to get that deep is you lose your flexibility.
Absolutely. And also health. So no point.
हाँ, वो तो अलग ही बात है हेल्थ. अभी उसके बारे में तो हम बात करेंगे तो फिर रात के 10 बज जाएंगे.
उससे ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस भी भर जाएंगे शायद.
Absolutely,
Agreed.
absolutely. So it's like
So
if you
ma'am,
want a deeper voice, you can
yeah,
train it to get a deeper voice.
absolutely. Yes. When we have you, why why should we be thinking of nicotine? So,
Correct.
and are there any certain food items that one should be consuming, should not be consuming? For the longest time, people who use their voice professionally, especially voice actors, have been asked, आप कैसे अपनी वॉइस मेंटेन करते हैं? यू डोंट ईट आइसक्रीम, आप तला हुआ नहीं खाते, आप ज्यादा मीठा नहीं खाते, these things. And for me, at least personally, when people would ask, I would say, नहीं नहीं मैं तो सब खाती हूँ. And some people would actually seriously say कि नहीं नहीं हम तो ये नहीं खाते, हम दही नहीं खाते, उससे खिचखिच आना शुरू हो जाती है आवाज में. तो क्या is this all a myth या ये इसमें कुछ सच्चाई है?
It's absolutely myth. For it's not true at all. And for that you need to understand that right over here are food pipe and windpipe separate. Okay, so there's windpipe and there's food pipe. Okay, so right after your mouth ends, जो खाना है वो food pipe में जाता है और जो हम breath लेते हैं वो wind pipe में vocal cords के through जाकर lungs में बढ़ती है. तो खाने का और आवाज का एक्चुअली कोई कनेक्शन ही नहीं है. हम सोचते हैं कि खाना भी यहाँ से जाता है, आवाज भी यहाँ से, तो हम उस तरह से सोचते हैं, बट एक्चुअली कोई भी कनेक्शन नहीं है. So you can eat and drink whatever you want. only thing, when you are just doing a session or a recording or a this, if you have something very cold, cold contracts, isn't it? आप ice को यहाँ रखेंगे तो contract. तो आपके muscles जो है वो less flexible हो जाते हैं. For 1 or 2 minutes. For 1 or 2 minutes, because both the tubes are together, no? Food pipe, wind pipe, they're next to each other. After 1 minute, you're back. So while you're doing dubbing or anything, warm water helps because for that moment. But once you've finished your work, you can go. It has no effects whatsoever. But यहाँ पे एक noteworthy चीज ये है कि हमें बचपन से कहा गया है कि ठंडा पियोगे तो सर्दी हो जाएगी, गला बैठ जाएगा. तो क्या होता है? You have been programmed for that, right? So your body actually does what you have been programmed to. So if you get the thought कि मेरा गला बैठ जाएगा, 100% बैठ जाएगा. So if you have the belief that something is bad for you, please don't have it. Because first you have to change the belief. Your body is like a computer. आप उसमें जो feed कर रहे हो वही होने वाला है. आपने अपने body के computer में feed किया हुआ है कि सर्दी हो जाएगा तो हो जाएगा. But if you can't change your belief, do as your belief. But if you can change your belief, हम क्या करते हैं? Belief भी रखते हैं और फिर वो खाते हैं, फिर problem होता है, ये होता है. But it's an absolute myth.
Wow, that's a relief.
So whatever you were doing, Rashri, of eating everything, you have been doing perfect. Go ahead.
Right, thank you so much. Always a foodie. और कुछ भी खा के भी immediately recording में चले जाते हैं और कुछ पता नहीं चलता. But ma'am, there is this the mic हम generally experience करते हैं as artists कि sometimes there are a lot of lip sounds happening, clicks, which generally the mixing engineers, the recorders hate. नहीं मैम क्लिक्स आ रहे हैं, थोड़ा सा पानी पी लीजिए, क्लिक्स आ रहे हैं, पानी पी लीजिए. कई बार ऐसा होता है कि वो चला जाता है, बट कई बार ऐसा होता है कि आता ही है. So उसका कुछ
these are the sounds like you swallow. See, normally you swallow saliva, right? You swallow saliva. And कभी-कभी ये भी होता है कि जैसे बहुत से लोग ये करते हैं. ये बहुत से लोग करते हैं, right? Clear your throat. तो ये भी एक चीज है कि कभी आप म्यूकस यहाँ पे थोड़ा अटक जाता है तो you clear it. अभी मुझे भी है थोड़ा सा म्यूकस. But the reason for the mucus is mainly what you inhale. So it's either smoke or pollution. जो cigarettes पीते हैं उनको भी बहुत ज्यादा म्यूकस रहता है. So those are the things. But ये जो आप clicks बता रहे हैं ना, ये mainly swallow या lip movement. So you have to, what you can do is normally when you talk or when you practice, see that you don't move your tongue and all these things too much. So people have some habit of doing this or doing like that. So you have to be very careful about that. And mainly it's the saliva swallowing. Okay. So if you have to be careful कि अगर आपके मुंह में बहुत ज्यादा saliva अगर आ रहा है, so you have to work on why that's happening. Okay. So drinking water actually doesn't help all that. Actually पानी पीने से थोड़ी वो चला जाता है, वो नहीं चला जाता है. So if you're having a more saliva, then you need to figure out कि वो क्यों हो रहा है. I'll tell you something, if you're stressed and you are anxious and you're nervous, तो saliva भी ज्यादा हो जाता है. So I tell my clients कि अगर आप relaxed रहेंगे ना, तो your body will function normally. Body का जो भी है, swallow है, breathing है, coordination है. See, body machine is doing 120 things every second. It's working beautifully. पर जब आप उस पर ध्यान देते और स्ट्रेस करते हैं, like am I breathing, आप स्टूडियो में आके ब्रीदिंग करो, वो नहीं चलेगा. So you have to do all that in the background, breathing exercise and everything. And I feel one thing which will help a lot for anybody is to be relaxed. I mean, if you're relaxed and calm and quiet, then everything will happen. Having said that, now don't ask me how to do that because then we don't do that.
So ma'am, basically if you're sitting going to start a session, sometimes the sessions are really long. They spread to about 5 to 6 hours and they're very demanding, where you are performing a particular intense character. you're going to reproduce various ranges in your voice. You would talk softly, then you would shout at the top of your voice. So is there any preparation that one should do just before a recording? Does that also help? Some quick thing that one can do just before beginning?
So there are two kinds of prep. Okay, one is long-term prep and one is short-term prep. So long-term prep is actually most important. Okay, कि आपने breathing exercise रोज कर रहे हैं, हाँ, आप अपनी आवाज की जो भी एक्सरसाइजेस हैं वो रोज कर रहे हैं, तो आपकी जो आवाज है उसको परफेक्ट शेप और फिटनेस में आपने रखा हुआ है. तो दैट इज योर लॉन्ग टर्म प्रेप. कि आपने प्रीवियस डे 12-1 बजे तक पार्टी की, चीखा, चिल्लाना किया, you didn't have good sleep, and obviously your voice is going to be bad. So the short term are sleep 8 hours before you come for your recording. Have a nice rested sleep, because when you sleep, your body repairs, your vocal cords are rested, they do a good job. So the other thing that help is, if you're having a really tiring session, taking 1 or 2 hours voice rest before that helps. अगर आपकी सेशन 10 बजे स्टार्ट हो रही है तो 8 से 10 आप बोलना मत, कुछ भी मत करना, आप चुप रहिए. तो इससे क्या होता है कि आपकी जो वोकल कॉर्ड्स है, वॉइस है, they are rested. It's simple, no? If you have a long day, you rest the previous day, isn't it? It's logic.
Yes.
Okay, so that helps. And doing your breathing exercise on an everyday basis helps. Okay, and learning to use your breath while you're talking. If you have learned that art, that helps. I'll come back to that a minute later. We'll finish the checklist for short-term prep. Drink lots of water. So when you're hydrated, your body works better. Keep warm water with you, so that when you're doing the shoot, you can keep drinking warm water, because that helps a lot. Okay. And most important, so sleep, voice rest, previous day, and 2 hours before your shoot, water, warm water, and calm mind. So when you're calm and relaxed, body works really well. Okay. So these are like the immediate prep you do. And after you finish that session, again, when you go home, take rest, because your voice has worked hard. You need to rest your voice, and you also need to drink water and sleep well that day as well. So sleep is something which people don't give so much importance, but even for voice, the sleep is very, very important, because ultimately, what is voice? A set of muscles are working. And if you have not rested those muscles, you're not going to be in good shape. And then coming back to one point of the long-term prep, are you using your breath? आप पेट से बोल रहे हैं, ये आप दिमाग में, अगर आप पेट से नहीं बोल रहे हैं तो इतनी लंबी 4-5 घंटे की सेशन तो बहुत भारी पड़ जाएगा आपके ऊपर.
बिल्कुल.
So learning to speak from your stomach, that is a skill which every singer, every voiceover artist, every actor has to learn. Without that, you will not be able to survive. So इसमें एक चीज है, it's not just about doing breathing exercise, it's also whether every time you speak, the air is being used properly. So एक technique है इसकी, learning to speak, जो हम सिखाते हैं, तो you should learn that. So every singer, every voiceover artist, they should learn that technique before they come to the craft. Like you have to learn so many other things before you come to practice the craft. Right?
Bilkul.
So it's so simple. So there's a long prep and there's a short prep.
Lovely.
And warm-up exercises. Yeah, and warm-up exercises also help. So do quick 5 breaths. And warm-up exercise can be like humming and tongue stretches, or even doing, going up and down. So with the breath. Quick 5 minutes warm-up, it helps. Some people even warm up their whole, if you're standing and recording, then you stretch your arms and you just become ready to, It's just, I always say, remember cricket. So long-term gymming करना है, पहले दिन सोना है, और फिर वार्म अप करना है, और शांत रह के खेलना है. Same voiceovers. Same.
क्या बात है. दिस इज एन एंटायर वॉइस जिम एक्सरसाइज. लवली. और खुशखबरी ये है कि ये हम सीख सकते हैं, कर सकते हैं. सो जिन लोगों के लिए ये मुमकिन नहीं है, ये मुमकिन किया जा सकता है. इससे अच्छी बात ही नहीं है. तो हम रिकॉर्डिंग में मैम कई बार ये भी होता है कि जो चीखने चिल्लाने वाले सीन्स होते हैं, कई आर्टिस्ट ये कहते हैं कि नहीं 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 नहीं, अब हम चीखेंगे नहीं, ये हम बाद में करेंगे, लेट्स फिनिश द एंटायर पार्ट, और ये चीखने चिल्लाने वाला बाद में करेंगे. एंड इफ दे हैव अनदर रिकॉर्डिंग टू रन टू, समटाइम्स वी हैव people coming and saying कि नहीं नहीं, अभी हम ये नहीं करेंगे, we'll do it on another day, because my voice will get tired once I start screaming, once I shout, do a scene which is very intense where I'm required to बहुत जोर जोर से चीख के चिल्लाने वाली लाइनें बोलनी है, तो वो कहते हैं कि नहीं नहीं, अभी हम अभी नहीं करेंगे इसको. तो आई मीन ये क्या है, सम ऑफ अस हैव नेवर फेस्ड इट, हम अपना करके चीखना चिल्लाना भी हुआ, अगली रिकॉर्डिंग में भी चले गए, वहां भी आराम से काम कर लिया, उसके बाद भी आगे चले गए. बट सम ऑफ अस आर सो स्केप्टिकल कि नहीं नहीं, ये अभी नहीं करेंगे. तो
so the thing is, the ones like, yes, see, the people like you who nothing happens, चीखना चिल्लाना कर लिया, अगले सेशन भी कर लिया, that means you're using your voice properly. That means आप पेट से बोल रहे हैं, that means आप अपना breath use कर रहे हैं. अभी आपने ये जानबूझ के सीखा या अपने आप हो गया या जो भी है, आप सही कर रही है. तो जो लोगों की आवाज में there is a strain when they shout and scream, that's only because they're not using your breath. If you are using your breath, you can shout, you can scream, you can do anything. Your voice won't tire at all. You can shout for 4 hours also and nothing happens. I'll tell you an episode in this. I was training this person, Allu Arjun, many years back.
Oh.
Okay, so he had no problems. He's one of those persons who want to be perfect. So he says, मुझे ये भी सीखना है, ये भी सीखना है, वो भी सीखना है. So he, and he was, so we were doing it, and then he said, ma'am, मैं बॉम्बे में शूट कर रहा हूँ, आप मुझे मिलना आ जाइए. So I went to meet him, and he was shooting with Prakash Raj.
Okay.
And that person, his voice control, forget his voice, his ability to control his voice, his command is so brilliant. He was doing a scene where he was shouting, screaming, and यहाँ से वहां तक उनकी आवाज पहुंच रही है, सारी चीजें कर रहे हैं, और उनके ऑपोजिट शायद कोई न्यू पर्सन थे, तो टेक्स हो रहे हैं. After 2 hours, the guy is absolutely fine, and he's saying, "Oh, hi, hello, I'm here to meet you," type. And Allu Arjun was asking me, how does this man, have this strength? So I told him, only breathing. I mean, he has learned how to use his voice so well. Okay. So everything comes back to learning to breathe, learning to use your breath while you talk. And that's a skill which you have to learn. Okay. It's like learning to cook. So first you learn, then you learn properly better, or like learning to drive. And then after some time when you drive, do you think कि अभी मैं accelerator? No, it's automatic, right? You are driving, you're talking, you're looking out. So even using your breath should be automatic. You can't be thinking about, am I breathing or not? वो अपने आप से होना चाहिए. Okay, so if your voice is tiring, if you don't have the endurance for long hours, that means you need to learn how to use your voice. And if you have it, great. That means you're doing something right. Keep doing that. Simple.
Wow, lovely. Also, ma'am, is this something that has to do with कुछ लोग बहुत सारे words fast and with clarity बोल सकते हैं, and कुछ लोग नहीं बोल पाते हैं, they fumble, उनके words jumble up हो जाते हैं, there is no clarity of speech sometimes. Like we've met people who will probably speak about 8 words in the same time in about 3 seconds with clarity, and you're able to understand what that person is saying. And in the same span of 3 seconds, there will be someone else who will be speaking about 5 words, and those will be jumbled up and you can't understand what the person is saying. So especially I'm asking you because this is something that a scriptwriter faces. Generally what they do is when they're translating for sync, what they will be doing is they will be translating as per the number of words in the original language to the number of words in the language that we want to dub. Sometimes they'll be counting also syllables, because like if you're doing a Korean show, the syllables, the count of syllables will be very small, but the meaning in Hindi will be very long. So then you have to do a syllable count and translate it, just perfectly. But sometimes there are fast lip movements of an artist, and you have to speak really fast so that you can match those lip movements. फटाफट 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 हमको वो sentence बोलना है, but वो हर artist नहीं कर सकता. तो क्या ये भी हम सीख सकते हैं?
ये बिल्कुल सीख सकते हैं. ये जो वर्ड्स या स्पीच जो हम बोलते हैं, स्पीच डिपेंड्स ऑन व्हाट्स हैपनिंग इन योर माउथ. ओके, आवाज तो यहाँ से निकल रही है आवाज, पर उसको साउंड या शब्द यहाँ पे मिलता है. Like you say a p or a b, that happens here. That happens here in your mouth. Okay, how your tongue, your lips, they are all moving. Sounds are happening here, or what we call the pronunciation and all that. So if somebody is not able to speak really fast and say all the words clearly, he needs to improve the movement of his tongue and lips and everything faster, for which he can exercise. Right? Speaking fast is an exercise which you can learn by exercising your this portion, your jaw and all these things. जैसे हम स्कूल में वो पोएट्री रिसाइट करते थे, टीचर used to say fast, then we used to say it fast. That clarity has to come in. ये चीज राशि गाने में भी है. तो गाने में कैसा है, कोई स्लो है और कोई सॉन्ग्स बहुत फास्ट है, और गाने में ये तान होता है. जैसे हम सारे ग म गाते हैं और कभी वो भी करना. तो ये जो मूवमेंट्स है, इसको तो इसके लिए भी एक्सरसाइजेस हैं, हम कर सकते हैं. बॉडी के हर पार्ट के लिए एक्सरसाइज है, तो इसके लिए भी. So that's the speech aspect of it, and we can do exercises to improve your ability to be clear with speed.
Oh, excellent! Wow! So इसके लिए भी रेमेडी है, तो इसके लिए भी लोगों को अब टेंशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है, ये भी ठीक हो सकता है. The good news is everything can be corrected and learned with practice.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
Is this also a lot to do with our ethnical influences? यानी जो हम जिस cultural background को हम belong करते हैं. For the longest time, I thought because if we could recite Sanskrit mantras with precision, तो हम बहुत सारी चीजें, बहुत सारे languages easily सीख सकते हैं. Is what I have been thinking. So, is that right? Is that wrong? And how much influence our ethnical background has?
Sorry, it's a huge topic, but I'll give you a summary of it. Okay. So,
yes.
What is language? आप मराठी बोल रहे हैं या हिंदी बोल रहे हैं, मैं तमिल बोल रही हूँ. So don't worry, even I have an accent. So I try hard, but sometimes people know that I'm a Tamilian, especially in English. My Hindi is actually a lot better. So that's because I learned how to do pronunciations from. I'm forgetting his name. Okay, when it comes, I'll come back. So what is sound? What is language? Language is sounds, right? Sari languages, pa, ba, ma, ra, la, wa, ta, they are the same. Pa is pa in every language, ma is ma, la is la, fa is fa, everything. But what is changing is the combination. जो हम combination में use कर रहे हैं. English में certain sounds are used. In Tamil, certain other sounds are used, and in Tamil, certain other combinations are used. So when we say कि mother tongue influence आ रहा है, accent आ रहा है, it will come because you've learned your basic.
Right.
I think 1 minute, I lost.
No, ma'am, you're here.
But I lost you on my screen. So your basic language which you learn, uska influence, the combinations will always be there. So if you want to correct it, you have to analyze it, what influence is coming. So influence can be in many ways. The way we use our vowels and consonants. So what I call, there could be a vowel replacement in your language and mother tongue. Like for example, in English, we say Singapore, right? Singapore. Syllables we have usme, baad mein aayenge. But in Marathi, we tend to use longer vowels. A becomes A, becomes E. So in a Marathi person will say Singapore. Singapore. So Singapore. So he is replacing A with A, E with E. Right? So we say bowl. It's a bowl. We say it's a bowl of salad, and that person will say bowl. So the vowel is getting replaced. So if you're having the accent and people are telling you, you need to listen and say which are the vowels I'm replacing. The second thing which we do is we replace consonants sometimes. So I used to replace consonants very young when I was in Tamil, you don't have ka, kha, you have only ka. So you have ka and ga. We don't have k, kh, gh is not there. So I would say kana kaya because kh is not there. So I replaced my kh with k. So instead of say khana khaya, I would say kana kaya.
Yeah, right.
Okay, there are many vowel replacements. Like in Parsi, they don't have ta and the. Right? So he said, my father went to Dadar. Because father is getting replaced. Bengali, you replace ver with ber and ber with ber, right?
Right, absolutely.
Consonants replace होते हैं, vowels replace होते हैं. So it's a very scientific thing. It's a very structured thing. हमें पता लगाना है कि हम कौन से replacement कर रहे हैं. और जब हम वो एक rule पकड़ लेंगे, you can apply it everywhere. अगर आप मुझे हिंदी सही बोलना है और मैं हिंदी के हर शब्द करेक्ट करने बैठ जाऊं तो मुझे सालों लग जाएंगे. लेकिन अगर मैं रूल पकड़ लूं कि ये मिस्टेक हो रहा है, ये मिस्टेक, इट्स वेरी इजी. एंड बीइंग विद अ कोच हु अंडरस्टैंड्स दिस, इसको हम साइंस ऑफ साउंड को हम फोनेटिक्स कहते हैं. अगर आप फोनेटिक्स समझते हैं तो इट्स वेरी इजी. एंड द थर्ड रिप्लेसमेंट व्हिच यू टॉक्ड अबाउट, द सिलेबिक ब्रेक. तो हम सिलेबिक ब्रेक में भी मिस्टेक करते हैं, राइट? So Korea has different syllables, India has different syllables. India में north, west, south में भी होता है ये. So it's like technology, physiology. So many people say technology. So technology, the break becomes difficult. Technology. So हम break अलग जगह पे कर देते हैं. So that's wrong. So you have to follow long words के syllabic break. ये बहुत common है इंडिया में. हम long words को syllabic break अलग करते हैं, especially in English. So physiology or oncology becomes oncology, technology becomes technology. So ये गलती हम करते हैं. और चौथा जो हम करते हैं वो है कि rhythm या intonation. So different languages have different intonations. Okay. Correct. So if you're speaking Bengali, then the intonation is totally, they are very slow and they stretch it. And if you go to Tulu or Malayalam, it's very short. So in Tulu, we'll say, how are you doing? What are you doing now? When did you come here? So it's a very different intonation. So ये intonation भी हम कभी हिंदी में, इंग्लिश में अलग intonation बोल लेते हैं. तो अगर आपके मदर टंग का इन्फ्लुएंस है तो वो करेक्ट करना एक्चुअली बड़ी मुश्किल है और उसमें बहुत मेहनत लगता है और उसमें सही मेहनत भी लगती है. जैसे एग्जैक्टली बीमारी पकड़ना और सही दवा देना वैसे हो जाता है.
But possible है. Good news is possible है.
Possible है, but you need to go to a person who can catch your perfect things. कि आप ये कर रहे हैं, ये आप change कीजिए. Okay, and it's very difficult because I have been also working on my accent a lot for so many years. So if you heard me when I was 15 or 16, it'll be totally different. But still today, if I want to be a voiceover artist, I still need to clear up my accent a bit. But to be a voice coach, it's okay.
Wow. So ma'am, this is something that we are trying to correct, the mother tongue influence. Now this vice versa situation where I want to get an accent for a particular role. I want to sound the typical Bengali or the typical Maharashtrian or the typical South Indian. So that is also achievable.
Yes, you just do the reverse. You listen to the original and see how they are using their vowels, consonants, syllabic break, rhythm, and you have to just copy it. So you don't copy it blindly. You analyze it and then you copy it. Like I think Amir Khan did a beautiful job in PK of doing that Bhojpuri. And I heard in an interview, he said that we wrote down every word and sentence differently. Wow. Right? So he actually said, okay, and he wrote it down differently and he learned it differently. But, the other day there was, I don't remember whose session, Darrpan was also there. In India, we are very smart. See, we have to agree that we are highly intelligent. And we are jugadus. So हम क्या करते हैं? हमको कोई रोल के लिए अगर गुजराती एक्सेंट चाहिए, तो हम गुजराती वॉइस ओवर एक्टर्स को ले लेंगे ना. So we work around it. So you want somebody to speak with a Tamil accent, you'll call a Tamil person. But ये जो directors हैं, casting directors हैं, उन्हें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. आपके accent सही नहीं है या आप वो flavor नहीं ला सकते, वो दूसरे को नहीं ले लेंगे जो कर सकता है. But जो आर्टिस्ट है उसको अगर हर तरह के काम करना है तो वो उसके the onus is on him that he learns to be neutral and he also learns how to have different life. As a director and casting director, there are hundreds of people who can bring that. But artist wants to do 10 different things, then he has to train himself in these things. Then he becomes more accomplished, right?
yes, true. And मैम आपको लगता है कि जो फिजियोलॉजिकल चेंजेस बॉडी में होते हैं उससे कुछ वॉइस पे इफेक्ट होता है द मोमेंट आई एम वो तो आपने कहा कीप योर माइंड रिलैक्स्ड यू विल बी एबल टू परफॉर्म बेस्ट बट इफ आई एम यू नो आई एम सैड आई एम नॉट फीलिंग वेल or let's go to more physiological like especially for females if they've had children. So you think the voice changes with that? Something of that sort happens?
See, the voice actually never ages that fast. The voice never ages that fast. It ages, but it doesn't age as fast as your body. Okay? So you can have a very young voice as you keep aging. And it does have only once or twice in everybody's life, especially when you reach puberty. There's a huge hormonal change, especially for men, right? So unki awaaz patli rehti hai, fir heavy ho jata hai. That's physiological. And actually women also, when they reach puberty, there's a slight half a note ki pitch change hoti hai. zyada nahi, thoda sa. तो जो singers जो सीखते हैं मेरे पास train करते हैं, I always tell them if their children are training that when you reach puberty, just be careful because you may have to change your pitch slightly, you know. But other than that, all these hormones and all these things, they don't affect your voice at all, right? So voice actually gets affected only by what you breathe and what you inhale, like smoke and cigarettes and all those things. See, you look at Asha ji, Lata ji, वो 70-75 तक उनकी आवाज जितनी पहली थी वैसे ही थी.
Right.
It's only after 75 there was a slight aging, that's all. So voice is something which doesn't age that fast at all. So if you abuse it, if you overuse it, you'll get into trouble. But if you're taking good care of it, it will last you a lifetime. So I don't think you should worry.
But ma'am, overusage का हमें कैसे पता चलेगा that I'm overusing my voice?
You'll feel the strain here, you'll feel tired. So I also want to correct myself here. Overuse is not such an issue as much as misuse. And misuse does not mean shouting, screaming and all. No. There's only one misuse. Not using your breath. That's misuse. So अगर आप पेट से नहीं बोल रहे हैं वो misuse है. और अगर आप पेट से बोल रहे हैं तो there is no misuse. You can shout, you can scream, you can do anything, you can do. And overuse का भी कोई नहीं. आप 7-8 घंटे कर लो. Sleep enough and you'll be fine. Rest
so which
and
means,
work.
Right. And get tips from you and come to you for regular training and help.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
Absolutely.
Actually,
because
you're right. You're right, Raj. There's so much to talk, but I'm sure we have some time constraint.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, there's so much going on.
Ma'am, that there is so much to talk, but I guess कुछ चीजें इसलिए भी जरूरी है कि नहीं शेयर की जाए क्योंकि अगर सभी कुछ आप अभी शेयर कर देंगी तो जो लोग people who are showing interest in wanting to connect with you और कहीं ये नहीं लगे लोगों को कि ये इतना आसान है वॉइस को ट्रेन करना कि एक सेशन में खत्म हो जाता है. तो मैं सबको बताऊं कि जितने भी देख रहे हैं कि आप लाइफ लॉन्ग प्रोसेस.
जिन्होंने ये ध्यान से आज सुना होगा उन्हें पता चला होगा कि ये एक सेशन में खत्म होने वाली चीज ही नहीं है. ये तो बस शुरुआत है. यानी शायद हम बस पहली सीढ़ी चढ़े हैं, बस लड़खड़ा के खड़े होने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. बहुत सारी सीढ़ियां चढ़नी है हमें रमा मैम के साथ.
एब्सोल्युटली. और मैम एक बात बताइए कि किसी को अगर आपके साथ ट्रेन करना हो तो इज देयर कोऑर्डिनेट्स दैट यू कैन शेयर? How is there a website or something that people can connect with you?
So one is my website, which is www.voicetrainer.net. And
voicetrainer.net. Okay.
.net. Yes. So you can mail me through that. So when you go on the website, you can send a mail and that reaches me. And you can also share my number so people can connect to me on my mobile number, on my personal number, which is 9821130471. And only request is don't call me. Send me a message or a WhatsApp, because if I'm in a session or something, I wouldn't be able to pick your call or things like that.
Okay.
So most welcome. Website
but I'm glad
is
that
the
I think the website would be a better way to reach, and so that it's not intrusive, and that'll be great. I can personally vouch for the fact that Rama ma'am's understanding of the apparatus with the 5-letter word voice is absolutely exemplary, and the way she looks at it holistically, which I'm sure Rajshri, you probably also realize in your conversation with her, that she doesn't just restrict to the voice as a tissue, as she likes to call it, the vocal cord, but she looks at it more as an entirety. And Rajshri, I must compliment you for being very incisive. I'm not surprised, because Rama ma'am, you might know that Rajshri has been a performing voice from a very, very young age, right from when she was a little kid. So she is fantastic at what she does.
That's why I wanted to tell you that she asked such amazing questions, and she knew what to ask, right? Yeah. She knew where the issues are going to come. So that was absolutely brilliant. It's a pleasure talking to you. The other thing which I want to say in a few minutes is that if people are not able to reach me, they're not able to train with me, or whatever happened, they can read my book, because I've given everything in that. So if you read that and follow all the instructions, you can learn it, at least 50% you can learn on your own, right?
Allow me to tell everyone, ma'am, that your book, Discover Your Voice, is an absolute masterpiece, simply because it is not elitist. Anyone and everyone can read it. It is written in such lucid language. Unfortunately, I don't have it in the studio. I have it at my home in my library. And I must have gone through the book so many times. And you pick up the book at any page. And so please, I'm sure it's available on Amazon, and you can look up Discover Your Voice by ma'am, and I'm sure you will find that. So that will be a great way to learn from her, without, even if you do not have, for whatever reason, if you can't train with her individually.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
Great. Thank you, ma'am. Absolutely. Rama ma'am, thank you so much. And we hope to see you on the 17th. Please be there, and it'll be lovely. And Rajshri, thank you so much. Today is the last day of the online sessions. 9वां दिन है आज. ये इतना बड़ा हमने मतलब भारी कदम उठाया है 9 दिन का. But I think सबका साथ, मेरी टीम का सहयोग, आप सबका साथ, and blessings from everyone has been such that in spite of it being a completely technology-led, initiative, everything went off without a glitch, and यूं लगता रहा कि हम लोग आमने सामने बैठ के बात कर रहे हैं, और देश की और दुनिया के किसी भी कोने से people could see this. So,
congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you,
awesome
Rajshri.
Job.
Thank
awesome
you, ma'am.
Job.
I will see you guys on the 17th. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was such a lovely, insightful session. मैंने पूरा session आराम से बैठकर देखा. I really enjoyed it, and I'm not surprised, because Rama Vaidyanathan is an absolutely wonderful vocal coach and trainer, and Rajshri Sharma obviously is an industry veteran, a performer, and great at what she does, and she brought out the best in Rama Vaidyanathan. So thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm Darpan, and I'm delighted to now move on to the next session of the day. तो ये online sessions, यानी आज 9वें दिन का आखिरी session है, and I have certain mixed feelings, क्योंकि थोड़ा सा रिलीफ भी हो रहा है, क्योंकि 9 दिनों से हम सब लगे हुए हैं, पर एट द सेम टाइम, जैसा मैंने इस सेशन के शुरू में कहा कि ये लम्हे, ये पल हम हरदम याद करेंगे. ये मौसम गुजर गए तो हम फरियाद करेंगे. इसी बात पर लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट सेशन, व्हिच इज द मिक्सिंग इंजीनियर्स मास्टर क्लास, एंड वी विल जस्ट शो अ लिटिल promo of the session, and then I'll come back with our 4 distinguished speakers for this session. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Mixing Engineers Roundtable. जैसा कि मैंने शुरू में भी कहा था कि इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट एक कंप्लीट 360 डिग्री प्लेटफॉर्म है अबाउट द वॉइस एक्टिंग इंडस्ट्री. And the industry is not always or not only about the performing artist who performs in front of or behind the microphone, but the industry is made up of a lot of moving parts, very, very critical moving parts. They all come together to make the audio experience so magical. और इसमें एक बहुत अहम भूमिका निभाते हैं हमारे मिक्सिंग इंजीनियर्स. दे आर द आर्किटेक्ट्स ऑफ साउंड, जो ना सिर्फ वॉइस, म्यूजिक, foley, background, any audio that you hear coming from your television or any other broadcast medium that you use is brought together to you by the mixing engineer. And I'm delighted that today at India Voice Fest we could have we could get on board on our panel some very distinguished mixing engineers from the industry. So this session is going to be moderated by senior mixing engineer from Audio Magic, Tarun Sharma, और उनके साथ होंगे Shantanu Hudlikar, a name that does not require any introduction, the legendary music engineer of the industry, music and sound engineer. Music मेरे ज़हन में इसलिए आता है क्योंकि Shantanu is the man behind the songs, behind the sound of the movie Veer Zara, a movie and music that is very close to my heart. और उनके साथ हैं हितेश खनेजा. Shantanu Hudlikar is also the technical director of Sound and Vision Studios. और उनके साथ हैं हितेश खनेजा, senior mixing engineer of Sound and Vision Studios. And we have Vrikpal Singh from the music engineer, the sound engineer from Purple Haze Studios. So I'm going to request my colleague Anand to get everyone on screen together. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Vrikpal has not yet joined in, but I guess he is on the way. तो जब वो आ जाएंगे तब उनको भी जोड़ लिया जाएगा. Thank you, Shantanu. Thank you, Hitesh. Thank you, Tarun, for doing this. I really appreciate आप लोगों की presence से there's a lot of value that is getting added to this event, to this platform, to this session. And Vrikpal is here. Hi, Vrikpal. How are you doing?
So sorry, guys.
Oh, कोई गल नहीं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. You haven't missed anything. So, Tarun, I'm going to hand over the session to you क्योंकि मिक्सिंग के बारे में मेरी कोई ज्यादा समझ है नहीं. थोड़ा बहुत बोल पाता हूँ पर मिक्सिंग को लेकर I have no idea and it's all Greek and Latin for me. But I'm sure that the discussion that you guys will have will really, educate us and tell us a lot about how you create magic with sound through the machines and through your own sensibilities. So Tarun, thank you very much. And I guess आप सबका introduction अच्छे से कराएंगे. So I will hand it over to you and I will come back at the end of the session. If there are any questions, I could help you take.
Yes. Thank you, Darpan. Thank you. Thank you for this वॉइस फेस्ट. पहले तो दर्पण को ही थैंक यू कर देते हैं. फाइनली मिक्सिंग इंजीनियर्स को इन्वॉल्व कर लिया गया इस इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट में. तो विद दैट आई विल फाइनली हमें इन्वॉल्व किया दर्पण जी ने इतने बड़े फेस्टिवल में. हाय एवरीवन. सो हितेश आपका माइक म्यूट है. या तो इस राउंड टेबल मीटिंग को हम लोग स्टार्ट करते हैं विद दैट फेमस कोट एंड आई विल कोट डॉन एंड कैरल डेविस. इफ बैड साउंड वर फेटल, ऑडियो वुड बी द लीडिंग कॉज ऑफ डेथ. तो इससे हम शुरुआत करते हैं. इसमें कई चीजें इस कोट से कई चीजें समझ में आ जाती हैं और कई चीजें जिनको नहीं पता वो भी पता चल जाएंगी. आज का सेशन हम लोग लाइट रखने की कोशिश करेंगे. वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट फिल्म पोस्ट प्रोडक्शन, फिल्म साउंड पोस्ट प्रोडक्शन. तो अब इंट्रोडक्शन की तो खैर जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी मैं स्टार्ट करना चाहूंगा शांतनु जी से. जैसे दर्पण ने बताया, फॉर्मर यशराज स्टूडियोज के मिक्स इंजीनियर रहे हैं, वीदास, और पता नहीं कितने प्रोजेक्ट्स में इन्होंने हमें बहुत ही सुंदर गाने दिए हैं. व्रिकपाल तो अगेन आजकल के एकदम हॉट हैं. अभी इनका एक नया प्रोजेक्ट आया हुआ है, आर्चीज, नेटफ्लिक्स पे, beautiful songs. सुनने में इतना
more involved in background than
कमाल.
Thank you.
बहुत बढ़िया.
And just like to interrupt for a minute, it's like important to mention over here that I am currently the technical director at Sound and
Director
Vision.
of Sound and Vision. Yes. Hitesh is again from Sound and Vision, or Hitesh is responsible for the beautiful mixes which come out from Sound and Vision. It's in Tamil, Telugu, and Hindi, of course. Even Malayalam भी करते हैं हितेश. तो बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है आप लोगों के साथ में बात करते हुए.
Good to be here.
Yes. हम लोग स्टार्ट करते हैं विद द फिल्म प्रोडक्शन, पोस्ट प्रोडक्शन. डायरेक्टली हम अपने, क्योंकि हमारे पास टाइम लिमिट बहुत कम है, 1 घंटा है, और इस 1 घंटे में मैं कुछ क्वेश्चंस आपके पास में रखूंगा, उसका आप अपने हिसाब से जवाब दीजिएगा. इंट्रोडक्शन मैं कर देता हूं विद, पहले तो मिक्स इंजीनियर्स क्या होते हैं उसके बारे में मैं थोड़ा सा इंसाइट देता हूं. हम लोग किस कंडीशन में रहते हैं, क्या क्या हमारी रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज होती हैं, उसके बारे में मैं थोड़ा बताना चाहता हूं बाकी हमारे ऑनलाइन या व्यूअर्स को. सो मिक्स इंजीनियर्स की रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बहुत बड़ी होती है. जो भी आप सुनते हैं, चाहे वो म्यूजिक हो, डायलॉग्स हो, आपके इफेक्ट्स हो, साउंड इफेक्ट्स हो, लाइन इफेक्ट्स हो, वो सब हम डिसाइड करते हैं क्रिएटिवली कि आपको कितना सुनाई देना है, किसी गाने में कितना रिदम सुनाई देना है, कितना साइड रिदम सुनाई देना है. ये सब हमारा डिसीजन होता है. ऑफ कोर्स उसमें म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर भी रहते हैं, लेकिन हम लोग एक प्राइमरी डिसीजन लेते हैं, और ज्यादातर 90% इसमें हम लोगों का ही डिसीजन होता है. मैं सही कह रहा हूँ?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in a way, because like everything that we do with sound, everything is a very collaborative process. And as mixing engineers, we would say that we are the ones who put all the different elements of sound into perspective, depending on what the visual is dictating to us, because in the end, the visual dictates as to how we perceive the sound. And if it's only if it's non-visual related, then it's all the ideas of the music director or the composer, which we have to bring in into play over here. Because as an engineer, a lot of times there is too much attached to being a mix engineer. Let me put it straight out over there: you can't be a good mix engineer if you're not a good recording engineer.
Great.
That is the basic. That is the basics of everything. There's a lot of glamour attached to mixing. There isn't. It's just that your name, or you're the final hands or set of years that the medium passes through before it hits the public. But that doesn't mean anything, because there's an old saying, and it does sound a little crass, but I will say it. You can't shine shit, So that's the whole thing. And this is not my statement. This has been actually quoted by one of the great engineers, Mr. Bruce Swedien, and this is where it all comes in. So my thing is, a mixing engineer's role is to have things in perspective, in conjunction with what your director wants, what your producer wants, what your choreographer wants. We are like a glue to everything. It's like being a chef. It's exactly like being a chef. You have all the different ingredients, but in the end, what you put on the table is what actually matters. And this is what. So as mixing engineers, we're good cooks too.
So, but to make a good food, you require a good chef, and good chefs are very rare. Like mixing engineers are also very rare.
True.
So it is always, we decide, we do the final thing, and the suggestions from the directors, the music directors, even the choreographer, even the editor, but they will see the final product, what we have created from the sound perspective, from the sound perspective, and then they will suggest few changes, but the basic and the building has been created by us. We decide in our dark, big mixing rooms with all the latest plugins and big consoles. And nowadays, great plugins are also there. We are the people who decide, and our assistants, and of course, the assistant director is also there. But we are the people who receive all the tracks from different departments. We listen to them. Of course, there are dialogue premixers also with us. Everybody is there, but we take the final call, and after that we show it to the director, or the director is sitting with us during the mix, and then we take the final call as this is working or not according to the director's vision, whether the people will be connected with that particular scene, if it is a crying scene or emotional scene, or if it is a love scene. We decide the level of the background music. We decide many things. Sometimes during the mix, I have done that, and many of us must have done that we remove the music which was there, because we felt that, maybe without the music, this scene or this dialogues, this scene is coming out better. So a mixing engineer plays a very, very important role in a audio part, in the what people are seeing it, right? So with that, I will start with the film production, sound production thing. There are few things in sound production, and इसमें क्या क्या स्टेजेस इन्वॉल्व हैं उसके बारे में मैं बताऊंगा, और फिर उन स्टेजेस से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस मैं आप लोगों के सामने रखूंगा. ठीक है? तो एक फिल्म साउंड प्रोडक्शन में जनरली जब एक प्रोडक्शन शुरू होता है या डायरेक्टर एक कॉन्सेप्ट कर लेता है रेडी, तो वो जाता है उसकी टीम के पास में, जैसे सिनेमाटोग्राफर है, उसके साथ में इन्वॉल्व होता है साउंड डिजाइनर भी, जिसके साथ में रीडिंग होती है, और उसमें शॉर्ट डिवीजन भी डिस्कस होते हैं कि यहाँ पर मेरी साउंड कोई चीज इन्वॉल्व है, कोई चीज इंपॉर्टेंट है कि इस साउंड से रजिस्टर होगा कि ये चीज आ रही है, या ये साउंड इस सीन पे ओवरलैप करनी है. तो उसमें क्या होता है कि हम लोग एक बोर्ड बनाते हैं कि दैट इज कॉल्ड द साउंड बोर्ड. हम लोग प्रिपेयर करके रखते हैं, और साउंड डिजाइनर उस चीजों को, या सिंक साउंड में जो बंदा इन्वॉल्व होता है, वो जाके वो एलिमेंट्स पहले ही कैप्चर करता है ड्यूरिंग द शूट एंड आफ्टर द शूट. एंड इवन कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि वो रिकॉर्ड करके प्रॉपर आ नहीं पाया, तो वापस से भी जाते हैं हम लोग और उसको रिकॉर्ड करते हैं. तो ये तो हो गया साउंड बोर्ड की कहानी. उसके बाद में आता है गाने, जो हमारी इंडियन फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट रहते हैं, और सॉन्ग रिकॉर्डिंग का प्रोसेस होता है जिसमें सिंगर डिसाइड हो रहा है, म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर डिसाइड हो रहा है, मिक्सिंग इंजीनियर फॉर द सॉन्ग भी डिसाइड होता है, और वो स्टूडियो भी डिसाइड होता है कि कहाँ पर वो गाने रिकॉर्ड होंगे. उसके बाद में आता है सिंग साउंड, दैट इज शूटिंग पे जाते हैं. शूटिंग पे भी वो गाने प्लेबैक होते हैं जो कि सिंक में होते हैं. फिर वो एडिटर उस गाने पे सिंक करता है, एडिट करता है, जो फाइनली देखते हैं लोग बात. डायलॉग एडिट, जब सिंक एडिट हो गया है, उसके बाद में सारे ट्रैक्स आते हैं, सब टेक्स आते हैं. कभी कोई लॉन्ग शॉट है, शॉर्ट क्लोजअप है, उसकी साउंड को डायलॉग एडिटर डिसाइड करता है कि मेरे इस साउंड के लिए ये टेक है, ये फाइनल टेक एडिटर ने डिसाइड किया, उसके लिए टेक कौन सा है, ये साउंड एडिटर डिसाइड करता है. फिर उसके अंदर अगर कुछ नॉइजेस हैं या कुछ क्लीनिंग की जरूरत है, तो उसको डायलॉग एडिटर करता है. फिर आ जाता है हमारा स्टॉक एंड फोली इफेक्ट्स. स्टॉक इफेक्ट्स वही होते हैं जो आपके गाड़ी की साउंड होती हैं, गाड़ी के साउंड. फिर फोली तो आजकल बहुत फेमस है, फुटस्टेप्स लगाए, ये किए, वो किया, बहुत सारी चीजें उसमें इन्वॉल्व होती हैं. सुबह की साउंड है, सुबह की चिड़िया है, रात की चिड़िया है, दोपहर की चिड़िया है, या ये साउंड कब है, ये सीन कब रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है. तो पहले तो, अभी तो मुझे आइडिया नहीं कि सॉन्ग रिकॉर्डिंग में अब वो डिसाइड होता है कि नहीं. शांतनु जी ज्यादा बता पाएंगे कि अगर कोई शाम का सीन है तो उस टाइप का राग रखा जाता था पहले, आपका मुझे आइडिया नहीं, आप तो ज्यादातर क्लोज्ड उसमें होते हैं, तो डांस नंबर की बात नहीं कर रहा, जैसे इमोशनल कोई गाना है तो उसका सुर भी डिसाइड होता था कि कौन से टाइम पे रिकॉर्ड वो पिक्चराइज होने वाला है, उस हिसाब से सुर भी डिसाइड करते थे पहले। आपका मुझे इतना ज्यादा आइडिया नहीं है। फिर साउंड डिजाइनर आ जाता है। एक साउंड डिजाइनर होता है जो प्रोजेक्ट में जो पहले स्टोरी बोर्ड से लेके अभी तक अपना रोल प्ले करते रहता है। जब उसके पास में सब फोली हो जाते हैं, सब कुछ हो जाता है, तो वो साउंड डिजाइनर म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर के साथ में बैठ के बात करता है और वो डिसाइड करते हैं कि इस सीन में, इस पर्टिकुलर सीन में एम्बियंस मेरा इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करेगा, एनहांसमेंट वो ज्यादा देगा कि म्यूजिक डिसाइड करेगा। ये चीजें म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर के साथ में साउंड डिजाइनर फाइनलाइज करता है, जो कि कन्वे होते हैं मिक्सिंग इंजीनियर। और फिर फाइनली आ जाते हैं हम लोग फाइनल मिक्स करने के लिए। हमारे पास में सारे डिपार्टमेंट से सारी ट्रैक्स आती हैं, कुछ 200 ट्रैक आते हैं, फिर उनको हम सुनते हैं, उनको हम प्रीमिक्स करते हैं। म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर म्यूजिक के ट्रैक्स देता है, बैकग्राउंड वाला अपने ट्रैक्स देता है, डायलॉग वाला अपने ट्रैक्स देता है, हम उसको प्रीमिक्स करते हैं। कभी कभी साउंड प्रीमिक्स, डायलॉग प्रीमिक्स इंजीनियर अलग होते हैं, फोली प्रीमिक्स इंजीनियर्स अलग होते हैं, वो अपना काम करके देते हैं, बैकग्राउंड प्रीमिक्स अलग करते हैं, वो अपना काम करके देते हैं। लेकिन फाइनली मिक्सिंग इंजीनियर जो है वो फाइनल कॉल लेता है। तो ये तो हो गया हमारे प्रोसेस। अब इन प्रोसेस के थ्रू इन मैं कुछ क्वेश्चंस आप सभी के लिए रखे हैं, मैंने प्रिपेयर करके रखे हैं। और सबसे पहले मैं स्टार्ट करना चाहूंगा शांतनु जी से। शांतनु जी, मेरे को टेल मी वन थिंग, डू यू प्रेफर एक्सटर्नल गियर और ए Pro Tools का inbox gear or plugin?
There's a big deal made out of all of this. You have to adapt to the times. I started off my career as an engineer pre-digital, so obviously I've been used to all analog equipment.
Yes.
I have seen the transition. I have seen the transition from analog to digital. When digital started off, it wasn't at its best stage. It wasn't really the best sounding medium, which is why people still had that impression that digital doesn't sound good. But today, I don't think there is any argument as to the sound. If you had to look at in its whole way, the today's sound of digital is far superior to what it was right at the end, right at the beginning. And analog sound, we got used to its deficiencies. Simple things like noise. Main thing is noise. And that so-called noise is what is now added to every plugin. You can see to every plugin that you go, you can see over there noise on or off.
Off, yes.
So everyone puts it on off, correct? Because no one wants that sound. So if you're saying analog was better, well, I don't really know whether analog was better, but I'll just tell you something. There is a vibe that analog had because of its imperfection. Digital is so correct and precise, which is also something that is great. So you want precision, you go with your digital way of working. You want a so-called analog element, which is not so precise. So to answer your question simply, I am what you would call the perfect marriage between hardware and software. I like both for each of its particular advantages that it offers me in the process. Give you a very quick example as to why I would prefer digital. Simple thing, if I had to do an edit, gone. In the analog days, I would have to take out the tape, rock and roll it, to find out what the point of edit is, put in a glass marker, take it out, put it on a splicing machine, and then pray to whatever god that you wanted to, that your edit worked out fine. The same used to happen on the film table.
Yes.
So, simple things like that. Today, I want a particular EQ. I don't need to reach out to whatever EQ that I need in my hardware or on my console. It's there on my plugin list. It's all over there. So today, if you had to ask me, would I like to mix on an SSL analog board, or would I like to mix on an SSL, all my SSL plugins? That would be a very, very difficult question to answer. But let me tell you, if I had to honestly sit down, it would all boil down to how much time are you giving me? Because the analog way, I still need to route things to different channels on the console. I have to go to each channel. I can't copy from one channel to the other. So it's time consuming. But in the end, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a particular sound. So it really doesn't matter what sound and what medium I use, as long as my end product achieves what I initially set out to take, which is the sound that I'm hearing in my head. And which is where I can influence. Let's say I'm working digital, purely digital in the box. I would still then have an analog piece of equipment, a limiter, a compressor, maybe an EQ in that analog stage strapped in onto my mix bus. So that's why I would say I am a hybrid between the two. I use both.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you. So my second question is for Vikpal.
Sir.
Vikpal जी, आपके पहले एक डिस्क्लेमर दे देते हैं. हम लोग किसी भी प्रोडक्ट को या किसी भी चीज को हम लोग कोई स्पॉन्सरशिप नहीं है. हम लोग किसी भी चीज को सपोर्ट या किसी कंपनी को हम लोग प्रमोट नहीं कर रहे, क्योंकि मेरा सेकंड क्वेश्चन कुछ कंपनियों का शायद नाम आएगा तो मालूम पड़ा है कोई बोल दे कि भैया ये भाई स्पॉन्सर्ड प्रोग्राम है, तो ऐसा नहीं है. आपके फेवरेट रिवर्ब्स और डिलेज प्लीज.
वेरी टफ क्वेश्शन.
बट लेकिन सर प्रोग्राम के हिसाब से आप एक स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट हर इंजीनियर का होता है. करेक्ट है?
करेक्ट है सर. तो हम लोग सब स्टार्ट करते हैं यूजुअली बेस प्लगइन्स लेके, जैसे अपना एविड के जो रहते ही हैं. थोड़ा करके हम लोग प्रोग्रेस करते हैं. लाइक फॉर मी, मैं अभी भी काफी एक्सपेरिमेंट कर रहा हूँ. नए कुछ ना कुछ निकल के आते हैं. थोड़े टाइम पहले मेरे को फिनिक्स वर्ब करके गॉट एक्सपोज टू दैट. तो वो एक थोड़ा भी रिसेंट फेवरेट अभी वो बन गया है. Otherwise, Revive 2 has been the most commonly used. With conjugation, I always use 2 or 3 plugins for reverb or delays. होता क्या कि हर एक limitations रहते हैं, हर एक का sound एक अलग रहता है. लेमैन को समझ में नहीं आएगा, बट हमें एज इंजीनियर्स बहुत खटकता है ये चीज़ है. कि यार इसका एक छोटा सा एक वो नोट कुछ अलग जा रहा है, कुछ साउंड अलग लग रहा है, वो डिले इसमें बराबर नहीं जा रहा है, टेल बराबर नहीं है, फटक से कट रहा है. तो वो है एक दो. एंड डिलेज मोस्टली में एच डिले है. एंड अपना अगेन लेक्सिकॉन रिवर्ब का भी डिले सिस्टम्स आते हैं, तो वी यूज दैट एज अ मिक्स ऑफ बोथ ऑफ देम.
वाओ. तो बिरपाल जी, आपके पर्पल स्टूडियो में एक्सटर्नल गियर है रिवर्ब्स के लिए, डिलेज के लिए, कि आप जैसे हाइब्रिड यूज करते हैं कि
रिवर्ब्स डिलेज वी आर यूजिंग मोस्टली प्लगइन्स नाउ. आजकल बहुत कम जगह पे एक्सटर्नल गियर यूज हो रहा है. और होता क्या कि हम लोग ज्यादा एडवर्टाइजिंग का काम करते हैं, तो जरूरी नहीं कि हमारा जो प्रोजेक्ट रिवर्ब के साथ अगर डब हुआ है या म्यूजिक डब हुआ है वो कहीं और जगह जाएगा तो फिर उसमें प्रॉब्लम्स और क्रिएट हो जाती है. It is a blessing, no doubt. Shantanu sir would definitely agree with this. Having an external gear for reverb is beautiful, but limitation वही हो जाती है. हाँ, अगर आप कोई फिल्म का काम कर रहे हैं तो
it takes time. Anything, when you have something, you have to tweak. If you have a plugin, it's there right on your screen. You can go directly to a preset.
Yes.
And boom, and you start from there. So it makes it really quick. Main thing is, sorry to interrupt, but you don't waste time. You don't waste time, trying to find what reverb works, when you're working with so many different types of analog hardware reverbs. Maybe there's an Eventide, Lexicon, Yamaha, TC Electronics. There's that. You don't need to waste so much time. So that's the main thing. Sorry,
that's one of the main things. Yes.
But if you have the time, all the time in this world, best of the sound, best of the gears, then
when that time comes, you let us know. We'll come directly to the party.
great. So my next question is for Hitesh. हितेश, एक कंडीशन है, सपोज कीजिए आप एक स्टूडियो में, क्योंकि आप फ्रीलांस भी करते थे पहले, और आपको एक स्टूडियो में मिक्सिंग के लिए और रिकॉर्डिंग के लिए बुलाया गया है, ठीक है, और उसमें कंडीशन ये है कि आपके पास में 3 ऑप्शंस हैं कि आप या तो एक गुड माइक प्रीएम्प ले लीजिए, या गुड मॉनिटर्स अपने स्पीकर्स ले लीजिए, या एक अच्छा माइक्रोफोन ले लीजिए. इन तीनों में से एक ही चीज अवेलेबल होगी, तो आप क्या लेंगे, क्या चूज करेंगे?
Very tough question, so to say, but I think core of everything is the raw audio, how it's recorded. So if given an option, ultimately I would like to have everything, but if given an option, I would go for a raw recording to be of the highest quality. Then if maybe I've been given an option between the monitor and the mic preamp, I'll choose a monitor, because then I have to hear also what is being recorded at the ultimate best. So I would want the raw sound to be recorded at the highest level of the highest quality. So if that's the only option I have, then I would go for the best recording. Microphone.
If I had a choice between these 3, mic, preamp, microphone, or monitors, so I would definitely need everything to sound in a particular way. So according to me, as Hitesh said, the monitors would come first.
Very nice.
I agree with that.
Monitors have to come first. It really doesn't matter, because if you don't have a microphone, fine, you don't do a recording. If you don't have a microphone preamp, you don't do a recording. But if you don't have speakers, you got nothing.
You got nothing.
You got nothing.
You are listening to something else.
So you're listening to nothing. There's nothing to listen to.
Listening to nothing. Yes.
Wonderful. Given a condition that there's a average monitor present, given a condition, I mean, if it's
there's no average.
Is it there or not there? Then
I personally
then can't do it with monitors, obviously. But given an option, you have an average monitor, then an average preamp, then I would go with the microphone. But if it's an option that ye hai ya nahi hai, then I mean, without monitor, without headphone, whatever produces the sound back to you, without that you can't judge it. So
let me add in over there. Everyone is under the impression that to get a good recording, you have to have X microphone, you have to have X preamp, it has to be a certain way. These are all myths put forward by other people. You have to do the best recording possible with the equipment that you have at your disposal. Because there are no you can go with either with an SM58 or with a U67, whatever the case may be. You need to make that recording sound the best possible, and no one is going to question you as to, was this recorded on an SM58? Honestly speaking, if it's a good recording, your mixing as a mixing engineer, you won't know what is being recorded on. If it's recorded well, no one will even question it. If it's recorded badly, that's when the questions are asked.
So, but for a recording, if we are doing the recording also, if the monitors are bad, then you will not have the judgment of a perfect sound. You can't decide. So, as you said earlier, monitors are what I feel is like monitors are the basic and the most important.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. The basis, you at least have to have an averagely decent monitoring. When I say averagely decent, first of all, very important, you have to be able to afford it.
Yes.
So my advice to anyone who's coming into the business, at the base, do the best you can that you can afford. Because everyone say, you're Dyne Audio or Genelec or ATC or whatever, but I got money only for Auratone. Then get that Auratone.
Yes.
And get the best out of whatever monitoring that you have. And I'll tell you something. none of us started off with fancy monitoring. We all started off with basic monitoring. Basic, only now do we have so many things at our disposal. Earlier on, when we were starting off our careers, there was nothing. You had one set of Oratones and a set of NS10Ms, Yamaha NS10Ms. And honestly speaking, not the nicest of monitors to listen to anything on, but they were so flat and so cold that, if you could get a good sound out of a Yamaha NS10M, the chances are that it'll sound great on any kind of broadcast,
any kind
or
of thing.
medium.
True.
Yeah, generally we earlier we used to do.
I've always, I keep hearing this all the time. We have to have this plugin, we have to have that monitor, we have to have this piece of equipment. No, you don't. You work with what you have, because then you are making excuses. You're making excuses, which means you are not developing your own craft and your own skills if you start blaming the tools. It's a good craftsman never blames his tools. You work with what you have.
Yes.
Can I get it done better with better tools? Obviously you can. But that doesn't make it an excuse to do shoddy work. I find a lot of times, and I'm sorry, I'm calling a spade over here. It's like a lot of people say, oh, this recording is bad because I had this problem. Don't make excuses, because there is no excuse for a bad recording. There is no excuse for a bad mix. Full stop.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Shantanu sir, do you do live sessions now?
I used to. I've stopped doing live sessions because I felt that, 5 days of the week I was in the studios, and then the weekends I used to be out touring with different bands, doing all these kind of things. And I used to love doing it. And then afterwards, I felt that I needed to focus my skills on working in the studio.
Oh.
So I believe I could not be a jack of both trades and master of both trades. So I felt that I needed to focus my energies more in the studio work.
Okay.
Even though live sound gave me a lot of buzz, there's a lot of fun that was attached to it, to touring, being with like-minded musicians, being on the road. But when I started out doing live sound, it was very, very basic. It was very, very basic. And things got better during my careers and during my career. And my biggest problem at a live sound situation was, lack of proper rental companies offering you good equipment, to work with. And it was really substandard. So you did what you did to the best of your abilities, but it was frustrating. It was extremely frustrating that, only the big gigs, got, X particular rental company's equipment. So you were great. But then the rest of the time, what happened? Because let's not forget, Bombay is not the only place where music happens. It happens all over India. And going into different parts of India, the scene was really, really bad. It was really, really bad. And that kind of frustrated me, even though it was fun. We had great time. It was a great learning experience. It taught me a lot. But then I felt, I'm not really getting what I want out of the live sound in terms of my creative satisfaction. I was getting more out of that in the studios because the studios were really, really advanced, and they were keeping up with the times, and there was great equipment to work with. There's a lot more learning to take place when you're there right from the creative stage. So yes, I talk a lot. I'm sorry. Basic answer to your question: yes, I did live sound.
No, Rob, I was asking you, recently have you done or you have left?
No. Recently, the last live sound I did was more than 15 years ago.
Oh, wow,
That's a long time.
That's a lot.
And
So,
I never did live sound for any Indian film things. It was always for rock acts or jazz acts. It was that I was never at that time. I never used to be into the film music scene for the live sound situation.
Okay. So, one very off the track question. Kindly let me know what kind of challenges, this is for everyone, you faced during, it's not necessary to name that project, लेकिन कोई किसी एक टिपिकल प्रॉब्लम आती है, हर प्रोजेक्ट एकदम स्मूथ नहीं निकलता, सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज क्या मिला? हितेश, आपसे शुरू करते हैं. कोई प्रोजेक्ट आप कर रहे हैं और उसमें एकदम मेजर कोई चैलेंज आया आपके लिए कि भाई इसको आप कैसे करें, क्रिएट या क्रिएटिवली, ट्रैक वाइज या कुछ भी?
तो कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट अगर हम कर रहे हैं तो अगर उसको करने के लिए एक सफिशिएंट टाइम मिले, आपको रेस्ट्रिक्शन ना हो कि आपको इतने दिन में कुछ भी करके देना है, देन somewhere in some or the other department compromise happens, I feel. And if you can fight for it, I want to finish this, extend your dates little bit here and there, then I think creatively you can put in all your efforts and get the desired sound that you want. Ultimately, even if you come after 5 days on the same mix again, you will feel I can do something different. It's never ending maybe, but you have to leave it at some point, and the deadline kind of gives you that point when you have to stop, but also it's restricting you from doing something little extra that you want to do. So any project can become difficult if you have been restricted to a certain time limit.
कोई एक पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट जिसमें आपको टाइम, जैसे आप बोल रहे हैं कंस्ट्रेंट, कोई ऐसा कोई प्रोजेक्ट, नाम मत लीजिएगा, लेकिन आपने 2 दिन लगे या एक ही दिन में आपने पूरा कंप्लीट करके दे दिया, ऐसा कुछ हुआ आपके साथ में?
होता रहता है.
ओके,
होता रहता है.
आपके साथ में कभी हुआ ऐसा कि होते रहता है? ये ऐसे चैलेंजेस आते रहते हैं आपके लिए? बड़ा चैलेंज है.
I think
it's a regular process where you're always working against the clock.
ब्रिकपाल जी, आपके साथ में कभी ऐसा हुआ टाइम को टाइम के अलावा? टाइम के अलावा
मेन इशू हुआ था कुछ साल पहले, एक फिल्म की थी, म्यूजिकल फिल्म थी, उसमें ऑन लोकेशन साउंड कुछ ज्यादा ही बेकार निकल के आया. तो we had to read up the whole film, including the songs that were recorded on location. And तो उसका जो lip sync पकड़ना for the singers to get that same emotion out, that was a huge task for us.
Very big task. My God.
There were a couple of senior engineers involved in it, so वो उससे थोड़ा सा एक अच्छा ये मिल गया, बैकिंग मिल गया कि हाँ भाई, कुछ भी अगर टाइम ज्यादा चाहिए तो इनके थ्रू बात कर लो. तो
लेकिन ये तो बहुत बड़ा चीज आपने बताई, एक तो एकदम रोंगटे मेरे खड़े हो गए कि क्या बात कर रहे हैं. अरे बाप रे. शांतनु सर, आपके तो लाइफ में होंगे.
स्पेसिफिकली एडीआर में बहुत बार ऐसा होता है. एडीआर के टाइम पे व्हेन वी आर डबिंग एडीआर, आजकल काफी काम चल रहा है, तो सिंग साउंड के कुछ एक बंदे रहते हैं जो कभी-कभी ऑन लोकेशन कुछ समझ में आवे ना आवे, याद नहीं रहता है. समटाइम्स unconditionally you change some setting and you don't realize it for the next scene, तो उसको फिर वापस रीशूट, रीड अप करना, getting that same emotion, एक्टर्स को संभालना, वो थोड़ा टास्क हो जाता है.
चैलेंज है. शांतनु, you must have faced many challenges, but any particular?
Well, there isn't anything particular that comes to mind because I've been pretty fortunate, but you expect challenges in every project that you do. In my opinion, so far in my experience, I don't think there is any project which has gone on, when I say without challenges, because even if there is something that is absolutely fine, I want to challenge myself. So there is a cliched saying again, you're only as good as your last job. So yes. I want to be better than what I did the last time. So that is the challenge. But if you had to look at it in the actual way that you asked the question, there have been times when, you've got badly recorded tracks and there is no way that you can re-record them again. What do you do? So you got to think out of the box. Can I resample these kind of things? Can I bring in some musicians? Is there a budget? Is there time? So there are all these kind of solutions that you have to come up really, really quickly with, because now you got to save the project.
Yes,
so
correct.
So it all, you got to think on your toes. You got to be able to execute, and you got to be very, very clear with the way you want to go ahead, because you can't throw up your hands and say like, "Ye main nahi kar sakta hu." You can't do that. It's your job. It's come to you. You better finish it. And since you're saying this is in the end, your name is being attached to that particular job that you're doing, and you got to live up to your name. Forget about impressing anyone else or your client being happy. You need to be happy with the work that you are doing. So you will do everything that you can to make it the best possible version of what that song or what that project determines. So are there challenges? Yes, there are challenges. Do we want challenges? Yes, I want challenges. If there's a project that comes to me and says like, "Hey, Shatru, we don't need you to do anything," he said, "Great, then take it to someone else."
Wonderful.
It's a very clear thing that I feel like you don't have to do something that you don't want to do.
So Hitesh, next question is for you. विरकपाल जी ने बताया कि एडीआर करने में बहुत तकलीफ होती है, और सबसे ज्यादा एडीआर तो मुझे लगता है कि साउंड एंड विजन में होते हैं, चाहे उसको कंटेंट लोकलाइजेशन का कह लीजिए या एडीआर भी आप करते हैं डिफरेंट इंटरनेशनल क्लाइंट्स के लिए। आप जो हमारे व्यूवर्स हैं, जो हमारे देख रहे हैं, जो सुन रहे हैं, उनके लिए आप कुछ टिप दे सकते हैं कि कैसे उसको बेस्ट पॉसिबल वे में अप्रोच किया जाए?
I mean,
for microphone,
we're very fortunate.
Yeah, sorry.
We are very fortunate that there are really great studios that we work in. I mean, it's an integration of every little thing that is involved in the ADR, starting from the sound being captured to how it is processed through the entire signal chain se leke, and how it at the end reaches the engineer and the audience as well at the end stage. So we've been fortunate that studios काफी अच्छे हैं. They are built acoustically really well. I think recent जो भी modifications that have been done, new studios that have been built, and Shantanu sir has been the prime person who has looked after the construction and the acoustics of the studio setup. So एक तो acoustics हो गया proper, I mean, there's no limit. Again, you can do so much in everything. If you have good acoustics, then comes the microphones. Again, I'll go from starting of the source till the end. Then how you capture the source sound, whether it's an instrument that you're recording, या आप ADR like you said dub कर रहे हैं किसी को record कर रहे हैं. So जब आप ADR record कर रहे हैं, then microphone, a good decent quality microphone, if you want to literally make a sound similar to how it is recorded on location, provided on location sound is used in the actual movie, in the original version. So if you want to emulate that exact sound, maybe you can use the boom microphone, shotgun microphones. And if you can, agar there are, suppose a movie is majorly in English, it's a mix of Hindi and English. So sometimes when we are doing complete Hindi for our Hindi listening audience, so we take the original parts of Hindi from the original, and then the English parts that are in the movie, those are dubbed Hindi mein. So aapko seamlessness laane ke liye, then you need exact similar microphones. If you can get it, well and good. If not, then the entire in the box processing happens when you have to match it with the original sound. So that is there. And I mean, if you have good plugins, आपका craftsmanship भी उसमें काम आएगा काफी. अगर आपका creative skills है उतना, तो ultimately with whatever you have, आप अगर वो achieve कर सकते हैं, then a decent recorded sound, a decent gear in the studio, and ultimately the craftsmanship, all in integration can give you a good ADR sound, which when put into the mix will sound like it's a seamless mix. And maybe if you want to imitate the original quality, the tonality and everything, वो भी हो जाएगा.
तो उसके लिए कुछ स्पेशल रिवर्ब्स वगैरह कुछ आप यूज करते हैं कि डिफरेंट कॉम्बिनेशंस आप ट्राई करते हैं? क्योंकि एक अगर सिंग साउंड है जैसे आप बता रहे थे, उसको अगर मैच करना है आपको एडीआर के साथ में, तो कुछ रिवर्ब्स आप यूज करते होंगे उसमें? ये ऑडियंस के लिए है बेसिकली, उनको समझने के लिए कि कितना कितना इनपुट जाता है और किस तरीके से आप अप्रोच करते हैं। तो ये मेरा बेसिकली जानना था, इसी के लिए मैं रिवर्ब्स के ऊपर टच कर रहा था।
तो और रिवर्ब्स में बोला जाए तो again how the original mix has been done. Ultimately sound will be recorded as a mono location sound, mono channels, and then there are dual micings, and ultimately it's a mono channel, and then there's an integration, and then उसको immersive audio experience के लिए 5.1, 7.1.2 बनाने के लिए तो
आपकी आवाज ब्रेक हो रही है।
Is it audible?
थोड़ा कट हो जा रहा है। आपको सुन रहा है क्या वृकपाल जी? हितेश क्लियर है क्या आपको?
नहीं, there is a lot of crackling.
There is that clicking sound.
या नहीं, म्यूट ही हो गया आप। हाँ, म्यूट हो गया। नहीं, म्यूट तो नहीं है, लेकिन ऑडियो नहीं आ रहा है आपका।
नेटवर्क इश्यूज होंगे।
Maybe log out and log in again.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Admin.
एक बार लॉग आउट करके लॉग इन कर लीजिए हितेश। हाँ, एक बार लॉग आउट करके लॉग इन कर लीजिए। ये आपका होगा कुछ। हितेश को आने देते हैं, फिर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन हम लोग शुरू करते हैं। हमारे पास टाइम वैसे कम है बहुत।
Just to continue with what Hitesh was saying, because I know very closely with the way he works. So you asked him about reverbs and things like that. You have to get some reverb, everything. Basically, it's the ambience that you have to match. So a lot of times when you're doing ADR, we probably don't get the room tones with you. So you need to create the room tones to match closest with what you're actually seeing visually. So your visual perspective plays a very, very important role as to what kind of processing you use for that particular scene that you're doing ADR for.
Yes.
Especially when you're doing ambience recordings, like when you're on an outdoor sync sound, you have to match that with the ADR. So
there you are.
Those also
sounds clean now.
Yeah. हाँ वृकपाल जी, आप क्या बता रहे थे? आप गाड़ी की साउंड सबसे डिफिकल्ट होती है, उसमें एडीआर अगर कर लिया। मैं एक पिक्चर कर रहा था जिसमें एक आर्टिस्ट हमारे बहुत सीनियर एक्टर हैं, उन्होंने मना कर दिया कि मैं माइक्रोफोन लगाऊंगा ही नहीं लेपल। मैंने यहाँ वहाँ छुपा के उसको बूम तो कनेक्ट कर दिया, लेकिन फाइनली जब हम लोग मिक्स टेबल पे बैठे तो पता चला कि उनकी साउंड इतनी खराब रिकॉर्ड हुई। फिर हमने उनको रिकॉर्ड कर लिया, सामने वाले के साथ में मैच नहीं होती, क्योंकि गाड़ी के अंदर की जो साउंड होती है उसको मैच करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है, क्योंकि एक अलग सा रिवर्ब होता है उसमें। कितने भी आप प्लगइन लगा लीजिए,
डोंट यूज द नेटवर्क।
हाँ, yes Hitesh, yeah,
am I audible now?
yes, very well.
Okay. Yeah.
So Shantanu ji ne
I was hearing
Shantanu actually replied to your when you were not there that it's matching the room tones. So
carry on. No, carry on.
So वृकपाल जी, जब आप ऐसा करते हैं एडीआर, तो दोनों कैरेक्टर को आप डब करा लेते हैं कि इसे अगर एक ही आर्टिस्ट ने डब किया तो फिर कैसे करेंगे मैच? मैं फिल्म जो
मल्टीपल कैरेक्टर्स सेम सीन में होता है तो वी वुड ऑलवेज वांट कि दोनों डब करें ताकि वो टोन मैच हो जाए, क्योंकि वरना क्या होगा कि आप अगर दो जन बात कर रहे हैं, आप एक का सिंग साउंड ले रहे हो, दूसरे का डब नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो बहुत ही टोन चेंज हो जाता है, एरिया चेंज हो जाते हैं। तो always advisable from at least from our end is that you dub everyone as much as possible.
That's an ideal world, but normally
ideal world, real world में ऐसे नहीं चलता।
If not dream world,
Very rarely does that happen.
Yes, very rarely. Correct.
But we've been lucky that way. That people actually come.
No, that's good. That's good. Because we recently did a project, Hitesh and myself, Hitesh mainly, because he was the main mix engineer. I was just overall kind of supervising, so to say, that we had to do exactly what you're talking about. You know, I had to mix and merge with, with the actor, with the location sound, with the production sound, and the ADR work that was happening. So, and there was no ambience tracks, there was no room tones, nothing. So we had to, work hard. It wasn't difficult, but it takes time. And thankfully, we were given the slight luxury of time to be able to achieve it. And I think Hitesh did a absolutely outstanding job on that particular project.
अब ये सवाल मेरा सबसे है, आपके पास में अभी कोई ओल्ड इक्विपमेंट है क्या?
जी,
आपके पास में शांतनु जी?
Yeah, so nothing goes. Everything stays as long as you maintain it, because it always has its uses. And it's just what might have changed would be, say, a set of monitors maybe, but a microphone never grows old. So a microphone always stays. Maybe monitors you need to change. You maybe need to change the voice coil or something of that sort. But microphone preamps, compressors, limiters, microphone summing mixers, they're all there. Nothing gets sold. Nothing gets sold.
So Shantanu, what is your favorite ratio kept for a voice in a compressor? Because you talked about the compressor, just I remembered.
Well, it depends. If it's dialogue, compression is something that is grossly misused, because a lot of people don't understand what they're using the compressor for, and also to know the difference between a compressor and a limiter. So all those kind of things. So first of all, if it is a voice recording, be it whether it's ADR, whether it is a dub, whether it is singing, I always like to use an opto compressor, which is basically a tube-based compressor where your action of your compressor is through tubes and through light. Basically, that's what opto means. It's an optical compressor. And talking about ratio of compression, well, it all depends. But if it's ADR, if it is dialogue pre-mixing, it would be a very, very low value of maybe 2:1 or maybe 3:1 maximum. And your attack and release times will all depend as to how intelligent you want your dialogue to be. But then again, in a film, if there's dialogue related, you don't really want to compress your signal. You want it to be even, and you're basically using it mainly as a limiter, or if you're using it as a compressor, you're using it to shape sound. Unfortunately, there are too many people with bad practices who are using a compressor to achieve gain. And that is why a lot of our industry recordings today that is out there in the world, accepting sound and vision, which is it really sounds bad, because you can hear the audio pumping, you can hear the dialogue is not really clear. You're losing out on mainly on the consonants. And consonant intelligibility is such an important thing, because in the end, when you're watching a film, you need to know what the dialogue is all about. So even if it might be soft, it is not a question of loudness or being soft. It's a question of intelligibility, and that is where the skills of the mixing engineer comes into play, or the recording comes into play. Recording as to how you use all these tools, because all these tools are not corrective tools; they're creative tools. If you're using tools to correct things, well, there's a lot to be said about that. That will need 5-year course on how to do things right. So
yes,
compressor is important. I would always use an optical compressor. I will always use low ratios for dialogue. depending on the song. It depends. I would probably go up to 4:1, and then later on maybe have a limiter just to keep things down. Right now, I would use a ducker to stop my dog from barking. But those kind of things. So it's all such a creative, and it's a very intuitive process. I cannot say I have a set rule as to what my settings will be, because my settings will probably change in between a song.
Yes.
It may not be the same setting. Nowadays, because of plugins, you can automate settings. You can afford to do those kind of things to get really precise. In the old days, when you're just working with analog gear, you just had one setting, and you made it work so that it worked perfectly. And in the end, I will always maintain the best compressor is your fader, to control dynamics, to create loudness, and to have it dynamically huge. It's your fader, and it's all in your head.
Correct. Thank you. So my next question is for Vikbal. अब कितने चेंजेस हो गए हैं? आप जब एक ओटीटी के लिए आप सब काम करते हैं, आप यूट्यूब के लिए मिक्स करते हैं, आप ओटीटी के लिए मिक्स करते हैं, आप फिल्म के लिए, फिल्म फॉर्मेट के लिए मिक्स करते हैं, तो ये जब आप मिक्स करते हैं तो क्या आप लाउडनेस चेंज करते हैं प्रोग्राम की, कि EQs भी चेंज करते हैं? क्योंकि इन ज्यादातर जैसे स्पॉटिफाई के लिए आपको भेजना है या किसी के लिए भेजना है, तो आपको पता है कि उनकी लाउडनेस के पैरामीटर्स अलग हैं. तो आप उसके लिए आप EQs को ट्विक करते हैं, पूरा एंटायर मिक्स रीमिक्स करते हैं, कि सिर्फ लाउडनेस के अंदर करेक्शन करके आप दे देते हैं? कैसे आप पूछ रखते हैं?
मेनली डिपेंड करता है कि आपकी रिकॉर्डिंग्स भी कैसे आई हुई हैं. सपोज इफ आई एम अभी OTT के लिए मोस्टली लाइक इफ आई एम डूइंग अ स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी, तो वहाँ पे ज्यादा करके EQ से ज्यादा वहाँ पे लाउडनेस पे ज्यादा डिपेंड करता है, बिकॉज दी स्ट्रीमिंग साइट्स आर वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट विद द loudness meters. When it goes into mixing a song for a Spotify or a YouTube, तो उसमें changes EQ पे भी करते हैं, because as your dynamics will change as per your loudness changes. तो थोड़ा सा depending अपना conversation with the music composer also, कि उनको क्या चाहिए, मतलब highs ज़्यादा चाहिए, mids ज़्यादा चाहिए, तो वो हिसाब से we have to tweak each and every aspect on it.
तो अभी तो ऐसे कई, हाँ सॉरी हाँ प्लीज.
हाँ, तो होता क्या कि सिर्फ एक मिक्स नहीं जाता है, लाइक देयर इज नॉट जस्ट वन मास्टर दैट गोस, देयर विल बी अनदर मास्टर व्हिच विल गो ऑन अ -3 dB और गो ऑन अ -19 LUFS का मीटरिंग के हिसाब से. तो नाउ दोस टाइम्स हैव कम इन दैट देयर इज नॉट जस्ट वन मास्टर दैट गोस एज अ मास्टर टू से. सो Spotify मास्टर एक लेवल जाता है, एक YouTube मास्टर, बिकॉज़ YouTube itself compresses most of your mixes.
Yes. वो उनका कुछ है, वो लिमिटर लगाते हैं और कुछ अजीब सी साउंड कर देते हैं. तो ये अभी ब्रिकपाल जी, आप ऐसे भी कुछ प्लगइन आ गए हैं जिसमें आपको ये पता चल जाता है कि अब मेरा ये, अगर ये कंटेंट में अब मैं प्ले करूंगा तो YouTube के साइड से कैसे, जैसे आइसोटोप में एक प्लगइन है जो आपको बताता है कि ये YouTube में बजेगा तो ये चीज कैसी सुनाई देगी, तो आप वो यूज करते हैं?
जी, वो यूज करते हैं. प्लस वेव्स का WLM मीटर यूज करते हैं. उसमें क्या है, दे हैव देयर प्रीसेट्स फॉर डिफरेंट स्ट्रीमिंग साइट्स आल्सो, तो वी यूज बोथ ऑफ देम टू गेट एन आइडिया कि कितना क्या है. और आजकल सच्ची बोलो तो विद दिस एडवेंट ऑफ LED TVs, वो तो मतलब बहुत ही खतरनाक साउंड निकल के आता है. आप कितना मर्जी मिक्स अच्छा कर लो, मास्टर अच्छा दे दो, वो साउंड बहुत ही खतरनाक आता है, बहुत ही बेकार आता है. सो यू हैव टू at one point of time obviously listen to समथिंग. अगर गाड़ी के अंदर स्टीरियो है आपका तो उसमें सुनिए. तो एक यू नीड टू गेट दैट पर्सपेक्टिव कि यार कहाँ. एंड यूजर तो मोस्टली आजकल मेरे हिसाब से ईयरफोन्स पे सब सुनते हैं.
लेकिन ईयरफोन्स कितने, कौन से खराब हैं और कितने अच्छे हैं, ये इसके बीच का ट्रांजिशन आप कैसे लेते? जैसे हम लोग पहले करते थे, जैसे शांतनु ने बताया कि NS10 बड़े अच्छे लगे, NS10 पे अच्छा सुनाई दिया ना, तो मैक्सिमम आपकी गाड़ी तक वो CD बना के हम लोग टेप लेके जाते थे, सुनते थे. तो अब कैसे आप डिसाइड करते हैं? क्योंकि मैं सच्ची में, हम लोग, मेरा ये स्ट्रगल रहता है कि यार ये कैसे सुनाई देगा. तो मैं अच्छा, ये जो प्लगइन है, जो आइसोटोप का मैं प्लगइन की बात कर रहा हूँ, वो कितना सच्चा है? आप क्योंकि ज्यादा, क्योंकि देखिए डायलॉग के अंदर या एक मिक्स प्रोग्राम के अंदर है ना, इतना ज्यादा डिफरेंशिएशन नहीं मालूम पड़ता, लेकिन अगर कोई म्यूजिकल प्रोग्राम है, म्यूजिक का गाना है, उसमें है ना तुरंत आपको पता चल जाता है, अरे यार ये मेरे हाइस कम हो गए, ये मेरे लोज गायब हो गए। तो ये कितना सच्चा है? ये जो आपको सुनाता है स्टूडियो के अंदर आइसोटोप वाला, कि यूट्यूब पे ऐसा सुनाई देगा, इसको कितना 50% हम लोग सही समझे, या 60% सही समझे, या 100% सही समझे?
I would say around 70-75%. At the end of the day, it's your own ear
yeah, that will play. मैं इस प्लगइन की जो वो लोग सेल के लिए एकदम अपना पब्लिसाइज करते हैं, बोलते हैं कि वो 70% तक तो ठीक है, ये बहुत बड़ी बात है। बहुत बड़ी बात है।
फॉर दैट मैंने एक और काम किया हुआ है, एक 500 रुपए के ईयरफोन्स लेके रखे हुए हैं। तो एक बार उस पे सुनना जरूरी होता है आजकल।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। आप तो उस पे सुनने के बाद में आप एक डिसीजन लेते हैं कि अच्छे पे तो अच्छा सुनाई देगा। हाँ, तो आप अच्छे पे भी सुनते हैं, आप एकदम महंगे वाले ईयरफोन पे भी, जैसे एप्पल पे सुनते हैं,
महंगे वाला
उसी चीज को।
और सेम थिंग हैज बीन प्लेड मल्टीपल टाइम्स ऑन डिफरेंट स्पीकर्स। बट होता कैसे कि विद द प्लगइन्स जो आजकल आ गए हैं, मतलब उनका भी एक्यूरेसी काफी बढ़ गया है, तो उससे यू डोंट रियली नीड टू ट्वीक अ लॉट।
ओके,
सो दैट रियली इज वन वे ऑफ ब्लेसिंग आल्सो।
ओके, ग्रेट, ये चीज अच्छी है। तो अभी तो मेरे क्वेश्चंस भी वैसे तो बहुत सारे लिखे थे। रूम एकॉस्टिक्स के ऊपर कुछ शांतनु कुछ एनलाइटन करना चाहेंगे?
Considering that we are running a little bit tight on time, I think room acoustics is probably the most important aspect of having a studio and whatever recording that you're doing, because a bad room will never give you a good sound. Straight, it's as simple as that. So first thing that people need to do when they're deciding to become proper recording engineers or starting to be studio owners or building their own studio, concentrate on the sound of your room. Make sure that is right. Once that is right, everything will fall into place automatically. Because today's day and age, there is no bad equipment that is being manufactured. In fact, no manufacturer goes out of his way to manufacture bad equipment.
Yeah.
Let's be very clear about that. So there is no equipment that you can say is bad. It's all got to do with personal taste and choices.
100%.
If you have a good room, doesn't matter what equipment you have in that room, it will respond to the way you are making it respond. So which is why I feel, forget EQs, forget compressor, forget plugins, forget anything. If you plug in a microphone in your live room and you hear it back in the control room, does it sound natural? Does it sound real? Does it sound the way that the artist is meant to sound? If you have achieved that, you actually don't need EQs and compression or anything of that sort. So which is why then the room is playing an important. So now if you want to manipulate sound, it is really easy to do because you know that your room is true. And when I say true, I mean it is a flat response. It's an even response over all frequencies.
100%.
So therefore, that is the most important part of sound, is having a flat response to whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
The easiest thing in the world is to add coloration.
Right.
It's
100%.
really difficult to keep things flat.
So अभी हम देख लेते हैं हमें क्या क्वेश्चंस आए हैं, क्या क्वेश्चंस आए हैं।
You carry on with the questions. It's okay. We'll try and keep the answers short. But
yes,
you complete your questions.
No, almost it is all complete. नहीं, I have to check. अभी हमें कमेंट्स में कुछ क्वेश्चंस आए हैं, किसी को कुछ पूछना है तो हमारे पास अभी 10 मिनट हैं, फिर हम लोग ये इसको कंक्लूड करेंगे। दर्पण जी, अगर आप आना चाहते हैं तो प्लीज, स्वागत है, आपका ही है।
अपना ही समझ के आइए।
हाँ, अपना ही समझ के आइए, बिल्कुल आ जाइए। दर्पण जी तो है. Yes, he's there.
Thank you, Tarun. I'm feeling at home now that you've invited me.
बिल्कुल आप भी कहाँ है सर, आ जाइए.
Thank you so much. Or I think most of the stuff that has been asked, I would like to believe that शांतनु इन्होंने इतने ल्यूसिड तरीके से, आई थिंक बहुत गहरी बातें. दिस इज द हॉलमार्क ऑफ अ ग्रेट professional, whether you are an engineer or an artist, when you look at things in a very simple manner. और अगर मैं specific questions की बात नहीं करूं, तो I think इस पूरे जो discussion का सार एक lay person के लिए, क्योंकि ये जरूरी नहीं है कि हम हर चीज को technically देखें as artists, but I think the gist I would like to really compliment Shantanu for, especially you, for simplifying things and saying very deep things in a very simple way. And some of the things that really resonated with me, one is that do not blame, a good craftsman never blames his tools. जिसको हिंदी में कहते हैं कि नाच ना आवे आंगन टेढ़ा. एक तो वो, और दूसरी बात मुझे जो सबसे ज्यादा अच्छी लगी, क्योंकि as an artist, since I also have a moniker of the traveling voice artist, I record from anywhere and everywhere in the world. And in spite of not being technically equipped as a recording engineer would be, but still I'm able to have decent sound, is because I've always believed that more than your microphone, it is the room that matters the most. And I've been telling all and sundry for the last many, many years, but maybe they needed a veteran like you to say this. I've been saying this right from the time the pandemic hit and people started asking कि हम कौन सा महंगे से महंगा माइक्रोफोन लें. और मैं उनसे कहता था कि माइक आपका SM58 भी हो तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, बल्कि शायद होम स्टूडियो के लिए that should be the only mic that you should use. And what you need to develop is a good ear for your own voice. Are you sounding too muffled? Are you sounding too sharp? Is your voice getting enough room to breathe? आपको मैं अगर एक सिंपल एग्जांपल दूं, तो कई बार उस दौर में लोग रजाई ओढ़ के रिकॉर्डिंग करते थे, और मुझे वो बड़ा, सॉरी फॉर पार्डन माय फ्रेंच, बट आई थॉट दैट वाज वेरी स्टूपिड. बिकॉज अगर आप पूरी रजाई ओढ़ लेते हैं, आप घुटन कर देते हैं, तो जैसे आदमी का दम घुटता है वैसे आवाज का भी दम घुटता है. और आई वुड टेल पीपल विथ माय वेरी बेसिक ले पर्सन अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि मैं जब होटल में रिकॉर्ड करता हूं, अगर मुझे करना है, तो मैं एक कुर्सी को बेड के एक कोने में रखता हूं, एक कुर्सी को बेड के दूसरे कोने में रखता हूं, ताकि 6-7 फीट लंबा एक एनवायरनमेंट बन जाए. और उसके ऊपर अगर मुझे रजाई डालनी है, तो कम से कम आई हैव माय वॉइस हैज इनफ रूम टू ट्रैवल. एंड देन यू डू अ लिटिल ट्वीकिंग टू अंडरस्टैंड whether are you sounding too sharp or are you sounding too muffled, and find that sweet spot. Like Shantanu said, that you should sound natural. So I think there were a lot of takeaways, not only for engineers who were probably watching it or who will watch it in times to come, but as an artist, as a performer, मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ा takeaway ये था that equipment पे इतना आप ध्यान मत दीजिए जितना कि अपने craft पर दीजिए, एक तो, और दूसरा understand that the room that you're recording in, it matters the most. And what I really liked was that no manufacturer will try very hard to produce bad equipment. So these are the बाकी तो आप लोगों ने बहुत प्यारी प्यारी बातें की, but some of it was very technical for me, and I'm sure it will resonate well with engineers. But मुझे लगता है कि this was very very special, और मैंने honestly ये anticipate नहीं किया था that there will be a lot of takeaways for voice artists, क्योंकि वो मेरा my bias is towards that, which was amazing. और people have been very appreciative. I can see a lot of people writing a lot of lovely things. But in the interest of time, I think I want to value the fact that you guys have spared more than an hour. And I don't want to stretch it simply because I don't want to give it all away. And I want to respect the fact that you're here to share some nuggets of your experience. And we can't go on, because that will be devaluing your time. And there is so much, I'm sure, that all of you, Tarun, Shantanu, Hitesh, and Vrikpal, all of you have done splendid work. आप लोगों के काम को हम लोग हर रोज सुनते हैं, but very grateful that he chose to make India Voice Fest a small part of your life today. Very thankful, क्योंकि हमने जब इसकी शुरुआत की थी आज से 6 साल पहले, हमारा फोकस सबसे पहले वॉइस आर्टिस्ट ही था, क्योंकि मैं मानता हूं कि सबसे पहले हमें उनको एक आवाज, उनको एक पहचान, उनको एक चेहरा देना था. But then over the last few years, very organically, which was always envisioned, that we tried to involve everyone, every stakeholder. And we've had sound engineers, ऐसी बात नहीं है, but mixing को लेकर we've never had a specialized session. And I'm so thankful to all of you. And I hope to see all of you on the 17th at Rang Sharda for the grand finale. I hope all of you will be there. And please make time, please be there. And let's all celebrate this little thing that we've created. And you guys are at a very special point today, because this is the last session of this 9-day marathon of online sessions. And you'll be very happy to know that we've had almost 20 sessions with almost 50 industry professionals. Or it took a lot for us, and it took a lot for people to bear it also. But everyone has been very kind. So thank you for that. And and Tarun, thank you so much. Special thank you to you for being so generous, for moderating, for being the sutradhar of the entire session. And I'm looking forward to see you soon. And thank you. And you have a good evening.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God, I could not have had a more beautiful, a more intellectual, a more insightful ending to the 9 days of online sessions of India Voice Fest. Oof. Like I said, mixed emotions today. It is 9:20 on the 15th of December. 7th of December is when we started. My entire team, small team, but very committed, supremely committed. I am supremely proud of them. Unfortunately, I can't have all of them here on the screen right now, but 17 तारीख को आप हमारे पूरे परिवार से मिलेंगे अगर आप ग्रैंड फिनाले में रंगशादा ऑडिटोरियम बांद्रा में आ रहे हैं. महीनों का प्रयास जो हमको दिखता है, इसके पीछे तकरीबन 6 महीने का अथक प्रयास, मेहनत, शिद्दत, जज्बा, पैशन और खुद को झोंक देने वाला एक इरादा और एक संकल्प बनाता है इस तरह के कार्यक्रम को. और हम एक बहुत छोटी सी इंडस्ट्री है, वॉइस एक्टिंग इंडस्ट्री उसका एक हिस्सा है, पर उस छोटी सी इंडस्ट्री को हम अपनी जिंदगी मानते हैं. और मुझे यकीन है कि आगे आने वाले वक्त में ये कारवां और बढ़ता रहेगा. मैंने अकेले ही इस मुहिम की शुरुआत करी थी और लोग मिलते गए और कारवां बनता गया. और आज 6 साल हो चुके हैं और आई एम लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू 60 more years of this initiative, this movement to glorify the fascinating craft and industry of voice acting in India. तो आज का और इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट 23 के ऑनलाइन सेशंस का सफर यहीं तक है, पर फिल्म अभी पूरी नहीं हुई है. इस फिल्म का ग्रैंड फिनाले अभी बाकी है. 17 तारीख को दोपहर 3 बजे से लेकर 7, 7:30 बजे तक चलेगा हमारा ग्रैंड फिनाले और अवार्ड्स प्रोग्राम. और 7:30 के बाद वी विल हैव द सोशल नेटवर्किंग पार्टी एंड डिनर. यानी कि देर रात तक, दोपहर से लेकर, इट्स गोइंग टू बी वन हेल ऑफ अ डे. एंड आप सबका स्वागत है. अगर आपके पास डेलीगेट पास नहीं है तो अभी भी आप indiavoicefest.com पर या हमारे इस QR कोड को स्कैन करके डेलीगेट पास ले सकते हैं, या फिर आप चाहें तो वेन्यू पर भी ये पास ले सकते हैं. आइए, और अगर आप हमारी इंडस्ट्री का हिस्सा है तो अपना जश्न मनाइए, और अगर आप हमारी इंडस्ट्री का हिस्सा नहीं है तो हमारी इंडस्ट्री का जश्न मनाइए. और जाते जाते आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. थैंक यू फॉर बीइंग अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस जर्नी. अगर हमसे कुछ गलती हुई है 9 दिनों में तो प्लीज हमें माफ कर दीजिएगा. और अगर आपको अच्छा लगा जो हमने किया है, जैसा कि आप कई लोगों ने हमें बहुत प्यार दिया है, तो हमें बताइए, लिखिए, हमें सोशल मीडिया पर लिखिए. या बहुत तरीके हैं अपना प्यार जताने के. There's always a way to express your love. And thank you everyone. It's beautiful. And I'll see you all on the 17th 17 का जो कार्यक्रम है वो ऑनलाइन नहीं होगा, उसके लिए आपको आना पड़ेगा। अब तक आपने वॉइस इंडस्ट्री के सितारों को वर्चुअली देखा है, 17 तारीख को आप उनको रूबरू देख सकते हैं। सो आई होप टू सी यू ऑन द 17th. टिल देन, टेक केयर, थैंक यू एंड गुड नाइट.
It's a historical day today. First and foremost, I think it's a fantastic idea.
I would like to congratulate Darrpan on organizing such a wonderful event.
So the whole idea behind this event was to get people together.
India was first!
This is what Hollywood is encashing on.
If you really want it, there's no field like this.
Right from scheduling up till delivering the product, it's always a challenge.
You get paid to interpret the script, not just to voice it.
Full kudos to Darrpan and team for pulling off such a fantastic event.
I'm just very happy and proud to be a part of this industry.
पहला कदम ही इतना शानदार है.
Extremely honored to be here at the India Voice Fest.
I think it's a fantastic event. Darrpan is doing a great job on this.
Not only thanks to Darrpan Mehta and Sugar Mediaz, congratulations to them.